Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean.
Friday Eve. Happy Thursday, everybody. February 16th. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well out there. Thanks for hanging out with us. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis with you. Boys, how we doing? How we feeling, fellas?
Good. I'm feeling pretty good, man. I'm a little tired, man, but feeling pretty good, you know what I'm saying, about the future of the Birds.
Okay. All right, good. That's encouraging. That's encouraging.
Yeah, I'm getting off this the whole loss and everything. I'm starting to, internalize it and move on now.
Okay.
So it was tough for a minute.
I like that. Gunner, how about you? You're not in the pain that Barrett and I are in, but where are you at on this Thursday?
4 days after the fact, I'm at peace and one with nature again. I'm back to where I was. Back to what I promised you guys I would try to be, a better version of myself. Although you two continuously attack me, I will not allow you to bring me down. I feel your pain, but I do not suffer in the same manner in which you do.
Good for you, man. I'm proud of you.
There is nothing we can do to change the past, only move forward, my friends. Therefore, looking ahead.
Sunset.
Philosopher Derek Gunn.
Yeah.
Therefore,
some say gun. That's what you are. Some say gun instead of sunset gun. Some say gun.
Yeah, he's not a sensei.
No.
Therefore, looking ahead, the days are much brighter than looking behind, where it's dark and dreary.
Okay.
No, that's blasphemy. I'm not trying to switch sides. I'm never.
What do you mean blasphemy? Wait, who said that?
Young gamer said I switched sides of KC. No, come on. I just like the shirt. It's a polo. I like.
They're poking at you, Bear. They poke, see, Bear.
Yeah, they're trying to
poke the bear.
Yeah. So
start with me already, man.
Well,
Bear,
2 o'clock.
You can't let it get you.
Yeah. Sirianni and Howie are going to be speaking, so we'll whatever what they say, we'll relay it, we'll pass it on. There's so many questions, man. Like, first of all, what happened in the second half? What are your thoughts on the field conditions? What are your thoughts on the Bradbury penalty? And I'm sure they'll take the high road on the latter two questions, but it's not an easy thing to explain away how you're up 24-14 at the half and you give up that many points and you get worked like that in the second half. You can't get a pass rush. You can't run the ball. You can't stop the run. What the heck happened, man? So
right.
And where do you go from here? You lost two of your assistants, two coordinators, not just two assistants, two coordinators, and maybe more. And who's going to replace them? These are Howie questions, but Nick as well, for sure. So, man, a lot to dive into here.
Right.
I'm getting curious what they say.
Nick has said he's had a plan in place. Is that not correct? Did he not?
Yep.
Who told us that yesterday? Didn't he say Nick?
Nick mentioned this during the season. Yeah,
that he has a plan in place. I trust in Nick to see the future and to make everything feel okay.
Yeah.
It may not be who we think it should be or who we want it should be, but let us remember this organization has made some moves and decisions in the past, and we all sat there going, huh? And turned out to be for the better. Has it or has it not?
Oh, listen, I up until the Super Bowl, I felt in terms of Nick's coaching.
Yeah.
I thought he was 10 steps ahead of everybody he coached against. Honestly,
exactly. Except a couple teams.
Well, take it a step further. Go back to when they hired this staff. They hired Sirianni, of course, and then he brings in Gannon. He brings in Steichen, and one of the things that one of the critiques I had of that was, other than Stoutland, there wasn't a lot of veteran coaches. There wasn't anybody on the staff who had head coaching experience previously. And I thought that was a mistake. I wanted him to have somebody that he could, bend the ear of, and pick their brain and ask them about where they had been. So I thought that was a mistake. Now, in hindsight, obviously he got it right with the coordinators, in a big way. I'll question the special teams coordinator, but he got it right with the offensive and defensive coordinator and most of the coaching staff. So, and not just Nick, I'm talking about Howie too. They got it right. What they can't have happen is what we saw happen to Andy, what we saw happen to Doug Peterson when Reich, left. They didn't do a great job collectively, whether that was Doug or whether that was the organization, of replacing those guys. That's going to be the major question. We've dipped into, do they just go internally? Do they go outside? We don't know. I think we're all in agreement that Brian Johnson looks pretty much like a lock. I don't know about Denard Wilson.
I think when it comes to the defensive coordinator, it behooves them to scour the countryside and weigh all the pluses and minuses of who is possibly available compared to the guy they have in-house, and then make a decision. We have constantly compared every defensive coordinator they've had after Jim Johnson, rest his soul in peace.
Yep.
And I think it's unfair to ever think that we may see another Jim Johnson come through this organization. But we've had some guys come through that have been okay. Maybe not great, but okay. Gannon was blessed to have talent like he's never seen before, coupled with a schedule that was very favorable for them, and they went out and did what they were supposed to do. Okay? They bullied most teams they played against. Plain and simple. Mm-hmm. It blew up because you went up against the best of the best, and I don't think there's anybody who watches football closely, I don't care if you're the novice fan or the avid fan, that can disagree with the fact that Patrick Mahomes is the new GOAT in the NFL. And when you think about it, you look at some of the championships that Brady won in New England. They didn't have lockdown defenses, but they had Brady, and they won. They found ways to win. Now, considering what Howie's been able to do with this roster the last 2 years, coupled with the fact that the organization, Jeffrey Lurie, brought in another coach that we all sat there, head coach that we all sat there and wondered initially, what's he doing? It's turned out from Andy Reid to Chip Kelly to Doug Peterson to Nick Sirianni, he's hit home runs. Would we agree or disagree?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now, there's been some questionable decisions made in position coaches, yes. But the bottom line, it starts with the head guy. They put the head guy in place. So whatever they decide to do, I think Brian Johnson has earned the chance to be an offensive coordinator. If everything that I'm hearing from in-house is accurate about this guy, and the national pundits who have said this guy is the next rising star among coaches in the National Football League, then that tells me he deserves at least a chance. It may be a one-year chance. We don't know. But at least we have an opportunity to find out. Defensively, that's a little bit trickier situation.
Have they said that, though? Have they said that Brian Johnson is the leading candidate?
No.
Nobody said. Everybody's assuming that. Yeah, I mean,
he was assuming. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. But
it is. It's totally an assumption. Yeah. That's it.
But it's a fair assumption. Mm-hmm. If this guy is as good as we keep hearing, now the national pundits who have said this are guys who cover the stuff closely. Yeah, they're at the combines, they're at the Senior Bowls, so they talk and they know. So if they say it, I have to go by what they say for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Adam Schefter said it. Adam Schefter said that he's the leading candidate and it's all but a done deal. But I'll see when it happens.
Hey, and Adam Schefter. Heck, what did D Gunn tell you on Monday?
Absolutely.
I go by D Gunn.
Me too. But in saying that, man, like defensively, I understand that everybody wants the late and great Jimmy Johnson, and blitzing is the nature in which he played his defense. That's what Spags is. Spags is one of those disciples.
That's right.
So he blitzes a lot. Is that necessarily a style that we need here in Philly, though? You know what I'm saying? With the people that we have here in Philly.
Correction, Barrett. Had.
Yeah, had. Yeah. Well, I said have because I'm no longer thinking that, I know everybody's talking about CJ, GJ, and Hargrave and all that. Well, at this point, I can't assume they're going to be on the team.
True. That's true.
So we have is Jordan Davis, who I think he's going to come out of the shell and be a really good player. I still have a lot of faith in him. He was able to sit back and watch. You know what I'm saying? It's not – you don't usually get that from a first-round pick. Mm-hmm. But we had players in front of him that were, you know, pretty damn good. So I understand that Linville Joseph, Ndamukong Suh, Fletcher Cox, and Hargrave, he couldn't break the lineup. You know what I'm saying? So I understand that he just couldn't break the lineup. So he will be okay. Nakobe Dean is going to be good. He's going to fall into his place where he needs to be at. Ellis is going to be all right at the linebacker position.
Thank you.
Oh. I
thought you give me just like a little, hey, you got it today, man. I know you're a little worried.
Right. Slay is still here. So we're going to say Slay is still here. But you look elsewhere on that defense. I mean, it's not a lot. Milton Williams would be cool. I really believe Derek Barnett might come out of the shell and understands now he can't be playing around. He's got to go. Patrick Johnson's still here. Sean Bradley was a special team extraordinaire. Maybe he cracks the defensive lineup also, becomes that guy. I have a lot of faith in Zach McPherson. Kayvon Wallace showed me a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Maybe he gets in. Reed Blankenship played a hell of a, played well for a guy that came in, would just put in and slide it in, especially with him being a free agent. I mean, he coming in a free agent and sign him and he stays on the team.
Right.
Josh Jobe, they say he's pretty good. Josiah Scott went through his bumps and bruises. Like we said, Christian Ellis. Kyron Johnson, draft pick from the Kansas Jayhawks. Linebacker, he has some potential. Who else? I mean, they have players. Marlon Tuipulotu, he's still here. They have pieces in place, but who are we going to bring in to organize these guys, put these guys in a play?
True. And we just don't know, right? We don't know who's coming in. We don't know how those guys are going to respond. It's their time. We'll see. How that ends up. How that ends up happening.
I think the biggest travesty is that this particular defense did not finish the mission it started out on to go down as one of the greatest, to complete the mission of being the greatest defense in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles, and to be arguably one of the best defenses ever in the National Football League. It failed to complete that mission because it was a total flop in the biggest game, the biggest signature moment of the season. And unfortunately, there are going to be significant changes to the point next year because we were so spoiled this year. I think we're going to be more critical. I don't care who they bring in. I think we're going to be a little bit more critical because it's got to get younger. It has to get younger. And as Barrett just said, there's a lot of young pieces still here, but now they're going to have to step up. Mm-hmm. Now, you're going to keep a couple guys. There's no question about that. How he's going to find a way to keep a couple guys. Like, it starts with CJ. But I don't know if it's that. I don't know if you're ever going to see a defense as productive as this defense was over 17 games.
Well, look at the gun, the stream. McPherson. I understand. Reason I'm saying these guys, the reason I spoke on these guys, because these are the guys that are only one on the roster now. Yes. These are the guys that have contracts, and before we can go forward, we got to understand that these are the guys that are going to replace. Until we bring in guys, we sign guys.
Yes.
So you can't think of CJGJ anymore as being a Philadelphia Eagles. He's not a Philadelphia Eagle right now. He might outprice himself out of the Eagles organization. He led the NFL, was tied in the NFL with interceptions. So the likelihood of him coming back is slim, very slim. And I know we want him. I want him. In fact, he's my number one A guy we need to sign. Both him and Hargrave is 1 and 1A. But the likelihood of us signing these two back, their production is kind of out. Their cost to bring them in is a lot higher than I think they'll be willing to pay for them to be here. Because when you sign this quarterback, a lot of the realization has to become, all right, we can't sign as many guys we used to sign. We can't go in with the motive of what we did this year. But all right, we're just gonna get. If we were just looking for one run stopper when Davis went down, we could have got two because we had the salary cap to do it. We had the room to do it. We got Ndamukong Suh and Linville Joseph because we weren't paying a real quarterback money. So we got to be very realistic in how we approach this offseason now because they've got to sign their franchise quarterback. Well, they must sign their franchise quarterback. Now that's still in the air also.
Mm-hmm.
That's still up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even done yet. So there's so many things that have to take place first before you even think about saying Yield Zach McPherson, because he might line up as a starter week 1.
Thank you. And Barrett, I think what James Bradbury said the other day about himself spoke volumes in terms of for everybody who is now a free agent on that team, except maybe Brandon Graham. I ain't playing for cheap. I'm not going to play for cheap. That's exactly what he should have said.
Yep.
After the season he's coming off of, CJ, all these, Kazir White, TJ Edwards, all of them, Javon Hargrave, all of them. I'm not playing for cheap.
Well, see,
What would you?
Well, yeah, they bet on themselves and had a great year.
I told you guys many times, one of my favorite sports movies of all time is North Dallas 40, which is a comedy movie, Nick Nolte, Mac Davis. And at the end of the movie, when Nick Nolte finds out he's gotten busted by the team who had a private investigator following him for a week leading up to the big game, he looks at the head coach and says, "How can you do this to me? We're not the team. They're the team. We're just the jock straps, the helmets, and the shoulder pads, and all they do is write us off as a depreciation." That's one of the best lines I've ever heard pertaining to football. Yes, the rules have changed. The players have changed in terms of size and speed, but that concept will be true as long as there's professional sports and not just football. You are nothing more than a commodity. They buy and sell you.
Rentals.
All you are. And so if you're that commodity, it's imperative. If you have the wherewithal and the talent and you put up the numbers, you put yourself in a position to make as much as you can while you can, because that is so short-lived in your lifetime. And once your playing days are over, you got another 30, 40, 50 years to live to provide for yourself and a family, and especially in a sport where the statistics have consistently showed 80% of the workforce ends up broke. If you can make all you can while you can, and I know fans get hurt, he's disloyal, he left us. He's a businessman. The company's a businessman. They make business decisions. The players make business decisions. As much as you don't want to see him go, I don't blame him one bit for getting as much as they can when they can. I really don't.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree. There's a reason why there's a system, and you become a free agent, and then you have a right to go play and get as much money as you can get. There's no doubt about that.
And Epps does not suck. Epps is pretty good.
Who said Epps sucks?
A lot of people don't like Epps because they didn't think he was a playmaker, but his role wasn't necessarily to be a playmaker. He made a lot of tackles. He made a lot of plays. You know what I'm saying? I don't know necessarily what you mean by play. Was he an interception guy? They don't really put him in a position to be an interception guy. No. He wasn't that guy. They let CJ roam around and play instinctually. And you know who was backing him up to make sure he could go around and play instinctually? Was Marcus Epps. He had to cover his back a lot of the times. And that's, if you don't have a guy like Rodney McLeod was always there to back up with Mike, what's his name? Oh my goodness. Malcolm Jenkins could do. Malcolm Jenkins could roam around and play that. We used to call it he's more so a hybrid safety linebacker S type of player. We used to call it the Joker. We called it the Joker back when I was in high school, but a guy that didn't necessarily play safety, but didn't necessarily play linebacker either. But he can go make plays because he had a guy in the back over the top that would cover him. And that's exactly what was going on. Epps wasn't able to make those plays because he allowed CJ to go make those plays.
You know, Barry, we had this debate on this very show back in June, and you brought up the fact that when we were projecting who would be young players to step up in 2022, one of the first names you brought up was Epps, and you said Epps is going to ball out. And I sat here and I said, I don't know, B. Brooks. I'm not sold on Epps. And I tell you what, after this season, I feel better about him moving into a more prominent role. Now, he may not be a Pro Bowler, but the dude can flat out run. He can hit. They're very, like I said, hitting is not a major criteria for DBs in today's NFL. This dude will come up and stick you in the numbers. He'll put his body on the line. Does he have some flaws in his game? Yes. But I tell you what, I feel better about him being here more so than it being a void. If CJ leaves, he may have to be one of your starters. And people may continuously compare him in 23 to CJ, which is unfair. But I think he can hold down whatever they ask him to do. I think he can hold it down. People are talking about he sucked. He can't cover tight end. He can't do this. Why don't you talk about what he could do? He can run with receivers. He's not a bad cover guy. He can tackle. He's one of the few. He's one of the few short tacklers they had on that defense. One of the few.
They said, "Oh, he Kelsey beat him on that touchdown." Well, shit, Kelsey beat everybody on them touchdowns.
Kelsey beat dudes that might be future Hall of Famers.
Well, that's the part that drives you a little bit crazy, right? About the Super Bowl in general. You hate the way it went. You hate the way the second half went. I'm still ticked off at the field and everything else. But it was Mahomes and it was Kelsey. Like, you know, it's hard to – and Andy Reid on top of it. All three are lock Hall of Famers. All three do this to everybody pretty much.
Right.
It's, you know, it's not like you went out there and just got upset by some team that didn't have any business being in the Super Bowl. It doesn't – I know it doesn't ease the pain. I'm just saying, like, there has to be an ounce of like,
reality
sort of brought into this thing too.
You don't think Brian Dawkins got beat? Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu?
And people think that Brian Dawkins was a good cover safety. Brian Dawkins wasn't that cover safety. Brian Dawkins was that Swiss Army knife that you could put him anywhere. He was rarely in situations where he was covering a guy one-on-one because that's not his game. His game was to come up there and light you up. His game was to go out there and blitz. His game was to make impact plays. That's what he was. They didn't want him covering. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that he couldn't, but they just didn't want him covering. He was a straight line guy. He would knock your head off. Right. He would blitz you. He would do things extraordinarily well, but covering wasn't one of those things. You know what I'm saying? They didn't ask him to do that. And Jimmy, the late and great Jimmy Johnson, he would let you know that. Hey, I put my guys in great positions. We needed somebody to make a play. Yes. I look to B-Dog to make it.
Yes.
I look to B-Dog to make it.
Well said. Well said. All right. So look, the free agents here, we'll just kind of dive into the defense thing now, I guess. The free agents are Hargrave. I'm talking about heavy hitters here, like the big boys. Hargrave, Fletcher Cox, Sue, Joseph, interior.
Yep.
Brandon Graham on the edge. Your linebackers, TJ Edwards, Kaiser White. Your back end, Epps, Bradbury, Gardner Johnson. All right. So the odds just of that group of, I would say even like 4 of them being back are slim.
Yes, very slim.
So, you know, you look at it and you say to yourself, okay, you mean, depending on what happens with Slay, it's hard to envision Bradbury and Slay both being back at that kind of money that Bradbury's going to command. CJ Gardner Johnson, did you just say, hey, man, he is priority, man. He gets interceptions, he hits, we're bringing him back. Okay, I could buy that.
Plus another year in the system.
Yeah, I buy that.
You put him in.
Yeah, I buy you make him one of the highest, if not the highest paid safeties. I buy that.
Me too.
Edwards, I don't think is going to crush you financially. I can see that.
No.
I can see him coming back.
Yep.
You know, and that's where it gets tough for me. Like, I don't think Kaiser White's back. I don't think Sue or Cox or Joseph. Hargrave, you know, you could toss a coin as far as I'm concerned. I don't know. I'd love to have him back, but what's he going to command? He's still 30. He's not old. He's like middle-aged NFL, and the guy had double-digit sacks. Someone's going to give him or offer him, I think, a ton of money.
They're definitely going to offer him a ton of money, man. You know, he just played in the Super Bowl,
right?
And that's what we're not really seeing what weight that carries. That's what teams do. They go in and they cherry pick the two best teams in the league. That's why 2 of our coaches are gone. Guys like CJGJ. I mean, people keep saying sign CJGJ.
Yeah,
I want him back. To me, he's going to be an explosive player. He's probably
young.
Be the best. Yes, you know what I'm saying. But the mere fact that we're talking about a guy just leaving playing the Super Bowl, and was tied for first in interceptions, just puts his market value probably out of reach for the Eagles.
And not only that, Barrett,
who have to pay the quarterback.
Not only that, Barrett, he finished tied for the interception. How many games did he miss?
Right,
4 games. 4 games? And he still finished tied for the lead. You know what that market value is worth when his agent sits down and dangles him in front of the other teams?
When they dangle him in front of other teams, they're going to say, look what this guy can do. This guy can cover as a slot corner, and he can play safety and play safety well. He learned his run fits. He was a hybrid player for this Eagles team. They put him everywhere, and he was able to instinctually play all these positions. That's just making his worth go up and up and up and up and up. It's just going to be tough for them to sign it back. That's why I'm not really, excited about talking about him coming back, because I know what NFL teams do. They want to go out there and get the best. And right now, CJGJ is one of the best guys on the market for all the things that he can do and where they can plug him in at.
Yeah. So just an FYI just to add to the conversation here, the Eagles are expected to interview Vance Joseph for the defensive coordinator position.
Do your due diligence.
That's according to Josina Anderson. So go ahead.
I'm sorry, Rob. And just to add to what Barrett is saying about CJ, do you realize how much more money that one hit he put on Pacheco is worth now? One hit is worth a couple more $1 million to him.
Yes.
That one hit. And on top of that, the open field tackle he made on Pacheco, because that would have been a touchdown if he had not made that tackle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those two plays, you know how much that has increased his open market value?
If you point to two guys, right, who although Jalen has 1 year left, but two guys who helped to get this up paid even more, Jalen and CJGJ.
Absolutely.
Hey, Robert. Robert M. I know a hell of a lot more than you do. So I mean, if we're talking about a game, you're playing in a game, you can predict games. I was making my honest assessment. You don't give an assessment, so your opinion doesn't count, brother. I know a lot more than you do, partner. What is he talking about, man?
I can't listen. I can't listen to some of this stuff.
What is this dude talking about, man?
I will tell you this.
Football. He probably didn't know the difference between cover 2, cover 3, or anything else. Gonna tell me what I know. You know what I'm saying? What position does he really play? What position was he playing on those plays? He made the plays. You don't even know he wasn't playing safety, partner. He was playing in the nickel corner position, partner. I hate when people just talk crazy, man, and don't know what they're talking about. Well, I give my assessment on what I think is going to happen.
I have to let some of it go. I have to let some of it go, Barrett. A lot of them don't understand. If I make a comment, it's because I get it firsthand information. If you make a comment, it's because you played the game 12 years. You're
all that film I've been watching, everything else, man. I mean, was I supposed to know the field was going to be shitty?
And
I was supposed to know that too, right?
And on top of that, how many of the national pundits who make 8, 9, 10, 15 million a year predicted the Eagles would blow the Chiefs out in the Super Bowl?
Right.
A whole lot of national pundits.
We traffic in opinions, man. And sometimes you're wrong, and sometimes you're right. You're not going to hit every one of them. And look, that goes.
Are they reaching out? Are they reaching out to all the Jimmy Johnsons and the Terry Bradshaws and all these people who picked Eagles to win by double digits in the Super Bowl? There were very few people who were in me and Rob's boat when we both said consistently, I don't see this game as a blowout.
Right. You guys said that. My score was 26-20. That was my national score. That's what I thought it would be 26-20.
See,
the game just didn't play out the way I thought it was going to play. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
and it goes to show you also, the best team on paper doesn't all necessarily win. You got to play the game.
Right.
You have to play. Did anybody on the planet expect the undefeated Patriots to lose to a ball team, the Giants, in that Super Bowl game? No. No. It happens.
Yep.
Yeah. Listen, I hear you. Well, listen, here's what we have coming up. So as I mentioned, Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman are speaking at 2. So we'll tell you everything that they were talking. Jonathan Gannon's talking now in his introductory press conference in Arizona. We'll see if he addresses the Super Bowl at all. That was a quality rant. Brooksy. Boom. 2:00, Mike Quick is going to be joining us, who called the game with Merrill Reese. We'll get Mike's impressions of what went down in that game. 1:30, Derek Bodner. Sixers finished their first half of their season last night. A game where they were cruising, and that became a sweat, but they survived. So we'll talk to Derek Bodner at 1:30. So we got a lot to do. We'll come back. I'll give you a little update on the turf from the guy who designed the turf himself. We'll get a Lane Johnson update. We'll dive into a couple little odds and ends, and I'll ask you the question: are the Eagles still the odds-on favorite from the NFC to get to the Super Bowl next year? It's tough to repeat. We know how that team that loses has that hangover effect, and they have a lot of questions here with free agents, coaching changes, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll dive into that. We'll do the offense in a little bit. As I mentioned, Mike Quick, Derek Bodner, don't go anywhere. We got plenty to discuss, that's for sure. He's Derek Gunn. He's Barrett Brooks. I'm Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Going to talk about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, because knowing who to trust with your finances can be a scary proposition. And I am right there in the front of that line, and had been for a very long time. But I found the right person, and that's Jim Murray. Whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review, if you're trying to get employee benefits off the ground and you're a startup, that's another resource that Jim can help you with. I've entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollover with Jim, and I couldn't be any happier. And he's always there to answer any questions and always available to answer any questions that you may have. Give him a call, 610-996-4751, 610-996-4751. You could email him as well, murray.jim@principal.com. That's Murray, MURRAY.jim@principal.com.
Philadelphia fans, were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing, the second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs, and then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
My name is Fran Salerno, and I'm a managing director here at Del Valle Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
Welcome back. Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Tell a friend, smash the like button. We are hanging out with you on this Thursday, Derek, Barrett, and Rob. All right, guys. So mentioned Lane Johnson had the surgery, looking at 12 to 14 weeks. When he spoke with the JAKIB postgame show, Derek, you guys, he basically said, look, I've been out here playing three playoff games, man. It's not great, but I have a pretty good feeling I'll be all right after I get this surgery. And if you think about the 12-week, it's basically 3 months. I mean, you're talking March, April, May. He'll be fine. That even gives him a little bit of time. 2 months before camp. Yeah. You feel good about the timing of this. He should be. And knowing the way this guy works, the work ethic to rehab this thing, I feel good about him, starting the season.
Me too, man.
The dude played with a shredded groin, man. Come on, man.
Yeah,
he played 3-4 games with a shredded groin. Are you kidding me?
No.
And still didn't give up a sack?
Yeah, beast.
Dude, he's made from steel or something, bro. I mean, can you imagine your groin, bro? You're right there by your man. That's a painful injury, man. But just goes to show the heart that he had, man. And everybody on the stream, Y'all know me. I respect everybody's opinion, man. Everybody's opinion. No, I'll never say, "Oh, you guys don't know what you're talking about." I say, "Well, I don't know about that." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, you know, I just like with the CJGJ. I know we need to get CJGJ.
Sure.
We absolutely have to get him. But the likelihood of us doing it is going to be tough, man. He's going to have to pull. This is where Howie is going to definitely make his money this year. He's going to make his money this year. It was pretty easy last year to bring guys in because there's a salary cap to do it. But this year, he's got to make his money because now he has to sign guys with that quarterback, and it's going to be tough doing that. Bro.
And you have to nail the draft, Barrett. You got to nail it.
Oh my goodness, you know this is and the way it's all. We don't have we don't have a 4th or 5th or a 6th pick, right? We just got a 7th, right?
Yeah, you got the 2. I'll give them to you. So it's 2 1s.
Yep.
Which are 10 and 30.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's 2 1s, 10 and 30, 62, which is the second round.
Yep.
94, which is the third round. Now, if you look at it that way, that's nice. 4 picks in the top 94 is nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Problem is, you don't have a 4th, 5th, or 6th. You drop into the 7th and you have 2 in the 7th, 221 and 250. So, you know, once you get later, that stuff starts getting moved and traded and linked in. Who knows?
But I will say this, though.
Yeah.
Because we traded for CJGJ for a 4th rounder, wasn't it?
Was it a 4th rounder? I'll check. And you give a 4th rounder for Robert Quinn, too.
Well,
that's a bad one. There's no getting around how he hit like 99 out of the park. There was, you know, you're not going to hit 100. That one was not a, let's be real. Okay.
Barrett, what did I tell you guys as soon as they made that trade for Robert Quinn?
Well, you said your people up there saying, oh, man, we got finesse. You guys got finesse.
I tell you, my people in Chicago said, dude, good riddance. You guys got fleeced on that one. And lo and behold, it turned out to be true. I hate to say it. But, you know, to add to what you were talking about in terms of our chat here, and you're right, for the most part, a lot of these guys have intelligent comments, thought out comments. You got a few jokers that bust on us for fun, out of fun.
Yeah.
But it gets under my crawl when some people get on to my, you don't know what you're talking about. They don't know our pedigree. They don't know where we've been, what we've done. And you're human. I don't know of any human on the planet who's 100% perfect in anything they do in life.
I don't know.
We make opinions, we make suggestions, but more times than not, we're right. We're right on point.
But I never tell you your opinion don't matter. That's not what I do, bro. See, you know what I'm saying? That's not cool. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I know a little bit about this game. I live this game. Bro, you don't. I'm ready now because we're about to get in these draft picks, baby.
Yeah, baby.
We're about to get in these draft picks now. You know, so this is where I really, really love the breakdown film, the breakdowns, and I gotta see if we'll be able to show film of draft college picks. I don't know. Xander, let me know if we can break down college picks of film. You know, on StreamYard. You know, because I mean that would be great if we could do that. Okay. That'd be great if we could do that.
It would be fun for sure. All right, so here's the thing too. Couple things, guys. I wish it was just a loss. Like, I wish there wasn't the field. I wish there wasn't the Bradbury call that late. I mean, that's the reality. It's all there. But it makes it that much harder of a pill to swallow for me. Like, I was actually better yesterday than I am today. I don't even know how to explain possible? That. I don't know. Maybe I'm annoyed in general. I got 3 shots today, which has me somewhat annoyed.
Tell people what shot you got today.
I got tetanus, shingles, and flu.
Dang.
Boom, boom. 2 in this, 1 in this, and you know. So my primary doctor, and she was great, right? She leaves. I don't even get a notification from the place. So I called up just to renew a prescription for something. Yeah. And my pharmacy reached out to me and said, "Hey, your doctor isn't getting back to renew this. Can you reach out to your doctor?" Okay, no problem. I'm giving way too much stuff out here. But anyway, so I call the old doctor or the place, and they say, "Oh, you know, she's no longer here." I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" "Yeah, she's not practicing here anymore." I said, "Okay, was anybody going to at least reach out at the office and tell me?" You know, they start hemming and hawing. I'm that's real bad business, first of all. And I know it happens all the time, but it's bad business, right? And I get it. Like, our insurance thing is just so screwy that doctors have to leave and go other places. I get that. I'm sympathetic and empathetic to that anyway, but at least let me know what's going on. Then I got to go through this whole song and dance just to get my records transferred. Then I try and find a new primary and it takes forever. Then I can't get an appointment with the new primary. I booked this appointment in like late October, November for today. Okay.
And you just now getting the flu shot today.
Just got it. So, and it was people there today were great. No problems. I'm just somewhat annoyed. Anyway.
No, I'm blaming because my doctor, my primary care physician did that to me like 5 years ago and to other people as well. Yeah. I made an appointment, just routine, physical. And, he's, doctors, I'm not going to say his name. He's a great guy. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he moved on to another practice. I'm like, and nobody called to tell me. And it took me 4 months. And now this was before words like COVID and all that stuff. Yes, became part of our everyday.
Pandemic played into everything. Yeah, right.
Yeah. But but in my case, I was automatically assigned to a new doctor that was already there.
Right.
And it turned out to be this doctor is a great dude. Younger doctor, great dude. But again, it's funny, Rob, because even in the medical profession, just like everything else, a lot of medical professionals got out of the business because they didn't want to deal with people. They were so afraid of getting COVID. Yeah. And because at that point we were told by the government and health officials, millions of people are dying globally from this. Right. There's still as many nurses that come out of college every year. There's still a wide, but like I said, both my oldest daughter and my son and son-in-law are RNs. And they work for prominent hospital, Christiana hospitals, right. And they're still shorthanded on nurses and pediatric assistants. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Well, you got all these people coming out of college. Where are they? They don't want to do it because they still have this fear effect.
Yeah, I don't blame them. I really don't. So, but my only thing was like, you owe your patients just, hey, I'm leaving.
Yes.
And yes. I'll forward your records wherever you need them or whatever. And it was crazy. So anyway, I went through all that today. But back to the game. I just wish it was just, hey, they got beat, and it wasn't some of the other stuff that went on as well. Like, I don't know how the league allowed that to happen. I still don't know how the league allowed the field to be in the condition it's in. And George Toma, who's the turf guru, guy. So basically what he said was, like, when I went through this and inspected it and delivered this to these people on Wednesday, the field was good to go. There were rehearsals done, with the stage that Rihanna had and, that kind of stuff. There was stuff painted on the field. There was other stuff that went on that I guess he's sort of saying was out of his control. Okay. That the people, the operations people there took over. And he said he could just from his eyesight tell it needed more sand to have it less, I guess, slippery in that case. But like, I don't know, someone somewhere, there was a ball dropped clearly somewhere. Like, have Rihanna freaking practice outside or whatever. I don't need that turf being destroyed because of the stage during rehearsals on Thursday and Friday and Saturday or whatever they had them. And like, again, I know, and it sucked for both teams, but like, that can't happen. You're the NFL, man. This isn't high school or some grade school field.
Exactly. And so what you guys are saying is that was a totally different field that was two weeks old that they played on.
That's what Toma's claiming, basically. Right. Like, hey, man, I put together, look at my track record.
Well, they had a problem with the field. They had a problem earlier on. I remember the Chiefs played them there and the Eagles played them there. The Cardinals there, and it was problems then. They were slipping and sliding around even then.
So that was the previous turf.
Yeah, that's the previous stuff. It was made out of the same stuff, though.
I hear you, Barry. I'm just telling you what the guy said. So that annoys me. We could debate the Bradbury hold and whatever. I don't want to come off like a 49er whiner, so I'm not going to do that. But I just wish it was, hey, they lost. It was clean. Whatever it is, what it is, and you move on. But there's all these other stuff, like the other stuff that's kind of hanging on it. It just annoys me. And, and it's just a blown opportunity, man. I mean, more
that's
than
all
anything
I'm saying
else.
right there.
It's a wasted, because we just went through. We didn't even go to the offense yet. The amount of guys that are free agents on defense, losing both coordinators, like, these are real things. It's hard enough for the team that loses the Super Bowl. We know the track record. It's terrible the next year of how they do. It's even bad making the playoffs. I hate to say that, but I'm just keeping it real.
No
it's
question.
Not good.
Look, I won the Super Bowl that next year. I retired, and we went 8-8 that year.
Right.
8-8.
Yes.
Rob, the fact that you are more distraught today than you were yesterday, when you initially made that statement, I was shocked for about a fraction of a second. And then the mechanisms in my vastly hollow head, according to family members, began to spin. And I started recalling, what have I learned about Rob Ellis since April 18th of last year? Number one, he put charcoal in a gas grill. Dry Cheerios is a staple food.
It's true.
He strong arms his family and doesn't allow them to order foods.
Strong arms a bit,
Hey, I'm going by what your daughter's saying. I believe your daughter over you.
I might say influence more than strong arm.
I'm going by. I believe your daughter over you.
That was amazing.
Yeah, Maddie was dropping dimes, man.
She took that opportunity.
I love her.
Right, she took that opportunity and ran with it, bro. She couldn't have been more happier. About
she was so excited to just
Barrett, you know what that was like? It was like being held hostage against their will.
Yeah.
And they're trying to send you a facial signal across
blink
the table.
if you understand.
Yeah.
First of all, Sills is right. I am still pissed off about Super Bowl 15 in 1981 against the I haven't forgiven Kenny King and Jim Plunkett. And Herman Edwards had a bad day that day, people.
His daughter was like, can somebody help me, please?
I know.
Help me.
I got a lot to say. You got my back.
Yeah,
Mr.
she
B,
was like, she was like waiting for you to go to the bathroom to tell you guys all the
right.
Dude, once you left and she was in a public place where you couldn't give her the look, and when Rob came back, the sheepish grin on his face, and how red he was, and what did he say, Barrett? Well, it's not that bad. And I'm thinking, there's some truth to this stuff. But the fact that you said that you're more distraught today than yesterday, after all of that stuff started coming back, I'm like, well, this is Rob Ellis. A little bit different. I'm not surprised.
But you know what pulled me in, though? What pulled me in is I mean, it was crazy how fast everything happened with our coordinators. Yeah. I mean, the next day.
Let me give you something on that, Barrett. So Gannon speaking now, this is interesting. So he said that he didn't even know there was an interview set up, believe it if you want to or not, with the Cardinals until Howie told him after the game Sunday night to stick around and just stay there. He swears he didn't even know going into the game. Now, believe it if you want. I'm just telling you what the guy said moments ago.
Yep.
Well, you know what? I tend to say that's BS. You know what I'm saying? I'm
not going to disagree with you, Barry.
Because there was word about that at the Super Bowl.
Right.
There was word of that at the Super Bowl. It was leaked out there at the Super Bowl. So I don't know if I believe it. But I mean, it doesn't matter because that's just what happens.
Yeah, I hear you.
Do you think
teams like that, great teams like that?
Do you honestly think that his agent had not already had some discussion with the Cardinals about possibly setting this up?
Yeah, I tend to find that really maybe there wasn't an interview like in the books, but you had a pretty good idea that the Cardinals are very interested in you. Come on, right?
Wait this long, it had to be somebody from both of those staffs of the Chiefs or the Eagles that were in line for this, because I mean all the other teams have head coaches already in place,
right?
And they were waiting.
But that's what I'm saying, Bate. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can say, "Hey, I didn't officially have it in the books until Sunday night," but come on, man. You and your agent knew something.
But,
but who cares? But anyway, whatever. I don't even care. You know, like I don't think that
no, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it had anything to do with the performance that the players had on the field or them calling the game the way they called the game. I know that for a fact. It's just the old man came with it, bro, and it really shocked me how. I mean, because I knew Andy Reid was good. We all knew Andy Reid was good. We had him for 13, 14 years. We know he was good. But for him to say, all right, we're going to run the ball in the second half.
Yes.
To run the ball in the second half.
Defense.
So it's like he tenderized the defense and then started passing after that.
Yes.
That's ingenious of him, man, because he never wants to run the ball. But he ran the ball consistent with Pacheco, which opened up the pass because they had to put that extra defender down from a linebacker position. They had to put him over the center. To put another defensive lineman down there, and once you put that guy's hand in the ground, it left a void in the middle of the field.
How many plays did they have just in the second half alone? Because they had 4 possessions. They scored on every possession, right?
5
They had 5 possessions. Okay.
When they were on the 5, that's a possession.
It was 4 possessions, 3 touchdowns, and a field goal.
Okay.
And look, so 2 offset one another. In other words, one was a 4-yard drive, which is set up by the awful. We don't need to go back into that, by the punt.
I'm sorry, Rob.
You know what? Oh.
Here we go. Attention, everyone. Rob Ellis will be leaving us shortly.
You're not asked to sacrifice your body. You're not asked to do much. Just get a freaking punt off that's respectable. I'm not saying you got to be Ray Guy. I'm not saying you got to boom it. You don't have to do that. But just make it a decent punt where it's not going to be returned to the freaking 4-yard line.
Right. And if it's a directional kick, at least kick it in that direction.
Kick it in the direction.
It was a directional kick. It was. All right. Now take
the wrong direction.
Hold on. Wait. Now wait a minute. Take a minute. I want you to think about something. Even if he kicked it in the wrong direction, let's look at this, right? Number one, he came up to get. Now, if you remember, as soon as he got the ball, he stood up, and there were a lot of green jerseys converging around him, correct? So technically, they should have had him correct.
I agree. I'm not just laying it on Sipos.
Okay.
It's everybody.
Right.
I agree.
He slipped twice, and then he changed directions.
Yes.
To a wide open field.
Yes.
So we cannot just blame this on Sipos because they should have corralled him. They had him corralled. Had him dead to rights.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. All right. So anyway, the point is,
he doesn't want to hear what I have to say right now, Barrett.
I'm just saying it was 4 possessions, 4 scores. Go ahead. I'm done. I can't do any more on Sipos. I can't do it. I can't do the special teams.
He might be back next year.
No, he won't. No, I won't allow it. All right. So I am just like I got Girardi out of here. I am getting Sipos out of here.
It's not just Sipos though.
It's everybody. I agree with you, Barrett. It's across the board,
man.
Yeah. Other than Elliott and Lovato, nobody survives this,
bro.
Goodbye.
And Lovato's a free agent also. Just so you know.
Yes.
I think he's a free agent also.
He is. You're right.
So I think they'll keep him.
I do too.
They
I like
keep
Lovato.
him. He's good.
Look at how many years they kept Dornbos.
I like
one
Lovato.
of the best in the business. They kept Dornbos for years.
I like Lovato. Yes. Yeah,
bro.
It's everybody else.
Come on, man. Like we can't handle this, bro. I can't handle the truth right now.
Okay,
I can't handle the truth.
I just sent out a couple of texts to certain people. I said, "Hey, will Sipos be back next season?" So I'm waiting for a response.
No, you should say Sipos and Michael Clay, bro.
Yeah, right.
I mean, maybe he was just too young to handle being in this position, man. Because I mean, I must admit, we had like 5 games out of the 17 games that the special teams was okay. It was never great, but it was okay. I think we only had 1 punt return of over 50 yards, and that was Boston Scott.
I know. It was awful.
55-yarder.
But
I'm telling you, man, the only thing you felt good about were field goal attempts and kick-offs because most of the time Elliott, was a touchdown.
It out. Yeah.
That's it.
Well, wait a minute now. We all sat here in December and said the special teams was playing a lot better, and that included punt coverage. We were all in unison.
5 games, Derek.
We said all in unison.
Derek, better. Here's what better means. Okay, Covey was catching the ball, not firing. Okay, and then he became crash test Covey.
Yeah.
So, like, if that's what we're talking about, that a guy in the NFL can actually secure a punt, that's a problem. Like, there's never a threat ever.
This is too easy today.
I know. Stop.
This is too
Stop.
easy.
You are poking the tiger, and I'm taking the bait, man.
This is too easy today. You know what? This is my finest moment of 2023.
You're doing the guy who's had 3 shots today. That's not cool.
Right. Yeah. Like, look. I remember I used to take my kids to get their shots, and they used to be mad the whole entire day, man.
Grumpy and
then, I took my dog, and he'd be moping around, for shots. So I know how you feel
I should have the plastic thing around my head today. That's what I should have.
Hey, I will never get another flu shot. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I ain't doing it again. I got a flu shot. I think I told you like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
The next day was the sickest I'd ever been in my life. I'm talking fever, chills,
I know.
body ache. I couldn't get up.
I've heard.
I can't do it.
Thank you. I do need a shot or two. Yes, a different kind of shot than I've already had today. Oh my God.
But hey, let me ask you guys this though. Okay.
Yeah.
That'll mean 3 coordinators are gone from this team.
That's the big deal.
That's
a lot.
Bro.
That's a really big deal.
We are really and also we are really undermining the effect of not having our 2 coordinators not here right now. This is blowing my mind that we do not have 2 coordinators.
No, Barrett, I agree with you. And I know everybody hates Gannon. I get it. I don't hate Gannon, and I know you don't either. But careful what you wish for.
Right.
You're going to bring in somebody new. These guys all were very comfortable with Gannon. They all, to a man, like playing for him, and Steichen too, right? So
they've got to win over their teams.
This is where I think it helps. Like if Brian Johnson gets elevated, he's clearly been there. They all know him. That's great. And I'm okay with coming from the outside if it's Vance Joseph or somebody else. I'm cool with that. I really am. But like, it is going to take a little while to get to learn each other, and figure this out, especially with the new personnel. So, okay, there's gonna be a learning curve, I guess is what I'm saying.
I just sent you guys a text. Now you can't repeat what you see. You can just, I just want to see your facial expressions. You cannot repeat what you see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Yes. Oh, all right.
I just forwarded you a text that I just got.
Yeah.
Bro. So
Rob, go to break. Go to break, Rob.
No, go ahead, Barrett. Get your point, then we'll do it.
I'm just saying.
You can't say anything.
With either one of these coordinators being here, man.
Right.
That means the whole culture. These guys, who's ever coming in, has less than 6 months to win these guys over, and that's tougher than what people think, man. It's tough to come in and win a team over, especially a team that just had this much success.
I think, Barrett, we're still so hurting from the Super Bowl, right? And I think we're also pretty focused on free agents that this is and everybody hates Gannon, that it's kind of like, it's more than like it's a pretty big deal here. But look, it also is the price of doing business too when you're good.
Right.
And you got to deal with it. And it's not usually both.
They're going to get the coverage will be rated, and that's exactly what happened. The coverage were rated and taken away.
No question.
This is a lot bigger deal than we're giving it credit for right now. We won't see the effects of it until
the season
we go
starts.
Training camp. Yeah, we get to training camp where we see, all right, what type of we don't even know. Like if Johnson's there, we know what type of offense we're going to run, because it's still going to be Nick Sirianni, and his head has been this for the last 2 years, going to his 3rd year. So BJ will be cool.
Yep.
But whoever comes defensive coordinator,
that's the thing.
You got to max out on a defense that's not there. They don't have a defense there right now. So how are they going to learn? There's so many guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 guys that aren't on the squad right now that are free agents. 10 free agents right now.
Right.
And we can't say any of these guys are back right now because they're not signed right now. Mm-hmm. So that's why I keep referring to the fact that, all right, we don't have certain people here, so I got to go with the guys we're rolling with. That's why I said Zach McPherson. And then everybody started killing me for saying that. But right now, he's slotted as a starter. Right now, your starters are Zach McPherson and Slay on the outside. We have Avonte Maddox in the slot. You got Josiah Scott's that backup. Josh Jobe is the backup to both the cornerbacks right now. Kayvon Wallace and Reed Blankenship right now are the 2 starting safeties. Those are 2 starting safeties right now. Kayvon Wallace and Reed Blankenship. Those are starting safeties. Those are our starting safeties right now on the roster who have a contract. So that's all I'm saying right now is look at what we have, bro. Yeah. The cupboards are bare.
It happens to every team every year, and we said,
deal with it.
And now it's our turn. It's our turn.
Yep.
And good organizations figure it out. Belichick lost assistants coordinators. They didn't always go on to have success, but he lost them a lot and was able to just sort of like reload. It helps when you have Brady. But the good thing is the Eagles have Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
So you should be able to do it.
And I can't keep saying this enough because, right now Rob is ready for a therapist chair. But it happened in Kansas City last year.
True.
They relied on a bunch of kids.
It's true.
Now they have Patrick Mahomes. Nobody else does. But Jalen Hurts is not that far off. No. That offense is still intact. Kansas City showed you can get younger and still compete at a high level.
It would be 1,000 times worse if you didn't have a quarterback.
Hold on. Exactly. Look at him. Josiah Scott. What? Lord. Long Scott. Something's wrong with them. They're on fire today, bro.
Oh my God! All right, it's one of those days. Today is one of those days, man.
But you have to go through this, man. Every 2
I
to
agree.
4 years, you go through the growing pains.
I agree. It is what it is.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just to you guys. I'm saying to people in general about, oh my goodness, we're going to be this, we're going to be that. Well, we've seen historically too, a potent offense can overshadow an average defense. We just saw it in this Super Bowl. We've seen it with New England for years.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
If you it all start, do you have the right quarterback? Yes, the Eagles have the right quarterback, and they have 2,000-yard receivers.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of good. Like there's a lot of
good on the one side of the ball. So that's what you do. You just build that side up, bro. That's all you do.
Now the defense falls in that category of, what does it say about the Army or the Marines? It's not just a job, it's an adventure. The defense might be not just a job, but an adventure in 2023.
You are correct, sir. All right, let's get a quickie in. We'll come back. We'll do a little early. We'll mix in some NFL guys because we normally do that at 2:00, but we have Mike Quick at 2:00. So 1:30, Derek Bodner, 2:00, Mike Quick. We'll give you some updates on some coaching searches and whatnot. We'll continue to tell you anything Jonathan Gannon has to say. Again, 2:00, Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman both will be speaking. So we'll pump you with everything that they're saying as well. So we got a lot to do. Don't go anywhere. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis hanging out with you on this Thursday. Let's talk about Pro Action Restoration. You got a home, you have a business, you have a property that you own, and you've gone through, or potentially you hope it doesn't happen, but if you do go through the inconvenience, the pain of fire, water, smoke damage to that establishment, that building, your home, Pro Action Restoration is on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist you. I've gone through it with my parents' house, and it was water damage, and they got right out there on a Saturday. They cleaned it up. The crew was professional. The price was right. It was a relief. They are licensed, bonded, fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action Restoration will work in conjunction with your insurance company also, which is huge. Water, fire, smoke damage, mold remediation, you name it, they can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.
Philadelphia fans were cut from a different cloth, born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
My name is Fran Salerno, and I'm a managing director here at Del Valle Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
All right, welcome back. Gunnar, you all right? What did you shovel in during the break? Clearly, you're wiping down. You were throwing down a little bit during the break.
I went down and I stole some of my wife's Valentine's candies. These nuts and chews, milk chocolate nuts and chews, are to die for. So while you two converse, I must have one more.
Oh, geez.
Well, hold on. You bought them and you let her eat them.
Yeah, you eat them when you
What
bought
is
them
that?
for her. What is? Yeah, you bought it for yourself.
If you saw the volume of candy I bought for her, and she goes, I can't eat all this. You guys help yourself. That's all she had to tell me.
That she just might have been being nice, bro. That doesn't mean she meant that.
Yes, she did. You can't tell me what my wife meant.
Oh, I can't.
I got you. Okay. Let's hit a couple.
She did mean not for you to eat her candy, though.
Hey, look. She ain't here. She don't know what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, this isn't happening if she's home. Let's be clear.
What goes on Sports Take stays on Sports Take.
It's like Vegas. Oh my God!
You know what, John Dickerson, you are exactly right. I did overbuy on purpose. Yes, I did.
Yes, it's the move.
That's a great plan. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
gonna use that.
That's true.
Dude, you gotta understand.
5 more.
Over 4 decades of marriage has taught me a lot of valuable lessons in life. One of which has been very seldom am I going to win an argument. I've conceded defeat.
Yeah, that's true.
I live in defeat. Remember that. You want long? You
Live in defeat. Boy, that's inspirational. Yeah.
He meant that too.
I'm gonna get that as a sign. I'll put it up in the living room.
I'll give you an ah for that, bro.
Yeah, that's an ah for sure.
Let me ask you this. Okay, you guys laugh at me. Do you always win arguments at home?
No. The older you get and the longer you're together, you realize pick and choose your battles.
Right,
so you're right there with me then. Correct, so you understand.
Right. Yes.
I don't see a cause in whether I'm right or wrong anymore.
Nope.
Yeah.
See,
I don't know how defeated that is, but I just don't. To me, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter.
I agree. You get so beaten down that you just like.
I hate to tell both of you this. I hate to tell both of you this because I know it's going to shatter both of your egos. Okay, you both live in defeat.
Thank you.
Just keep that in mind.
I kind of knew that, but you just confirmed it. But
you know what, Rob? See, here we as men, we go down swinging. We think we're going down swinging. Yeah. No, you're not. All you're doing is slowly sinking in quicksand. Yeah. So if you want to get out of the quicksand, what do? Throw yourself a life raft. You know when to talk and when not.
I concur.
Maggie, I hope you're listening because we need you today.
Yeah, no.
Bro, I just don't. I feel it coming. I feel it conjuring up. I just leave. Yeah, I go somewhere else.
Yep.
Here's the worst though. When my middle daughter, I don't care what my wife says. My middle daughter always takes her side. So I just sit there like this.
Oh, your oldest daughter always takes your side.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Your son takes your mom's side.
No. My son is like Switzerland. He openly would tell you, I ain't getting
He's
in
the smartest one.
He'll tell you that.
Yeah,
I ain't saying nothing.
He's got it figured out.
I'm telling you, you know what? I tell you, he's like Eddie Haskell. He knows how to work mom, even if she's mad at him. All he has to do is give her a hug and a kiss on the cheek. She melts like butter. And I'm sitting there like this. And he'll look at her, stand behind, and goes, "Look, Mom, Dad's jealous." No, I'm not. I can't believe your mom fell for this. Your mom's a highly intelligent woman. I can't believe you're 31 years old and she still falls for it. That's what I can't. I'm just sitting there going, I don't believe this. If I go, honey, get away from me. I'm mad at you. Get back. Step back. Right. I hope she ain't listening because I'm dead to rights.
Yeah, you are. You might want to keep moving. That's for sure.
If I'm not on the show tomorrow, you know why.
I understand. All right, can we address something else that needs to be addressed? I'm watching the Chiefs parade.
Is it going to set you up again?
No, I'm watching the Chiefs parade yesterday.
Yes.
Okay. Number one, and I don't begrudge him. Patrick Mahomes had a good time. Good for you.
Yes,
that's cool. That's cool. I look. Brady had a good time. The Eagles players had a good time. Have a good time. Live it up, man. Live it up. No issue with that whatsoever. The issue I have, and it was not just Travis Kelce, but it was Travis Kelce and others. The whole disrespect thing. Like, first of all, they're acting like everybody picked them to be 0-17. Like, can we stop? Like, it was basically, yeah, man, they're going to take a hit because they lost Tyreek Hill. That was the gist of it. Nobody thought they were going to be an awful team, that all of a sudden Patrick Mahomes is going to suck. Travis Kelce couldn't catch the ball anymore. And Kelce's doing this whole disrespect speech. It's like, dude, really? Like, the Eagles had every right to do the whole dog mask thing. They had won 57 years. They came out of nowhere that year. They had a backup quarterback, a backup left tackle, a backup middle linebacker, a backup special teams player. I mean, this notion that I get it's what teams have to do to get themselves up, I guess, but it was really annoying, frankly. All right, I'm done.
Okay, bro, you're right, man. It's wrong, man. To me, I heard a lot of people saying they retooled.
Yeah,
and they weren't supposed to. This is a year, though. This is a year that they were going to use to rebuild to get back to where they were.
Yes.
I don't think so.
Wait a minute, both of you. Wait a minute, because I'm about to set Rob off again. Here we go.
God. What are you trying to do to me today?
All right. Every national pundit felt that it was going to be Cincinnati or Buffalo representing in the Super Bowl. Right. The Kansas City Chiefs organization themselves came out and said, we have to rebuild. Mm-hmm. Did they not?
Yes.
Yep. They said that religiously. When we talked unmercifully about the wealth of talent, and Mr. Brooks led the charge in this about what the other three teams in the division did in terms of quarterback, but also adding pass rushing specialists on the defense. Most people pick Kansas City to finish third in the division.
Right.
Now, was Kelce a little bit over the top trying to emulate his brother? Yes, he was. But there was a lot of truth in what he was saying. A lot of people thought, even with Mahomes, even with Kelce, even with Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, this was a year Kansas City was going to take a hit because they had to get so much younger. And we talked about this in detail for the last 2 weeks. This team relied on 6 different rookies on defense and a couple on offense to get to where they were. Did we or did we not? So therefore, I don't want to hear it, Rob. I don't want to hear it. Therefore, there's a lot of accuracy in what he was saying. He just took it over the top. I'm sure he had a few. He took it over the top.
Yeah, he turned it to like, dude, nobody, you're not a victim, Travis. Like, give me a break. But I hear you. Losing Tyreek Hill is a big deal. You still had a Hall of Fame coach in place. You had a Hall of Fame GOAT type quarterback still in place. You still had Travis Kelce, who's going to the Hall of Fame, in place. You still had a lot of pieces in place. So, I mean, yeah, Chris Jones was still there. Suddenly, Chris Jones, who's one of the most, if not the most dominant interior defensive lineman, was still there. All right.
Frank Clark was still there.
Man, my blood pressure. It's a good thing I got my blood
pressure taken earlier. Nick Bolton is the second year in his man, I thought he was one of the most talented linebackers in the draft. Not this year, but last year. This was his second year. Yeah. I really want the Eagles to go out and get him, man, in the second round. They got him in the second round.
Yes, they did.
He's a tackling machine, man.
Really
we need a linebacker. And why can't we see? That's what I'm saying. That's what I want. We need to do stuff like that, bro. And I think we're starting to get that sense of understanding that you got to recruit. You got to go out there and draft guys from the impact places, man. You got to, I mean, like it or not, I'm a Big 12 guy. I was in a Big 8 when Big 12 was Big 8. I was a Big 8. And I'll still say you got to go to the SEC to recruit, man. You got to go to the SEC to get players. Yep. There's a reason why that conference stays so good. Alabama and Georgia are
LSU,
gold mines.
LSU.
Well, the LSU started to sink a little bit, but they're starting to come back up now. But I mean, if you get any of the guys from Alabama or Georgia, you're good to go, bro.
Sometimes you don't have to overthink it.
Right.
There's a reason those dudes are dominating every year, you know.
Yeah. We're going to find out this year because you got 2 of them from Georgia on your roster from that national championship team.
Who didn't do anything, right?
They didn't have to.
They're going to be called on now. And now we're going to find out.
But I'm not gonna say they were a bust, though. You know, I hear a lot of people saying they were
no,
bust.
they're not a bust.
No, unproven. We just don't know. That was the way I would put it. We don't know.
Yeah,
I wish we knew about Jordan Davis more. I understand that Kobe Dean didn't play because you had linebackers in front of him. I wish we had a little bit of a better handle on Jordan Davis. That's all. But
Jordan lost valuable time because of two reasons. Number one, all that big money in front of him.
Yeah.
And number two, he had a concussion and he had a high ankle sprain. So he lost a lot of valuable time because of that.
Yeah.
But the Jordan Davis I saw in that Super Bowl game, that Jordan Davis got a lot of work to do because he got moved off the ball. I didn't think you could move that dude off the ball the way he got moved off the ball.
Yeah, he wasn't eating any space.
No.
He was a space eater. He wasn't eating any space.
Yeah. Yep.
Put it like
but
that.
we applaud the Eagles for having the best offensive line in the game. Let me tell you something. Kansas City's offensive line ain't no slouch. They spent a lot of money. Now, I will say this. As they got younger, they spent a lot of money on that offensive line last year. Mm-hmm. And Andrew Wiley was the weak link on that offense. That dude played like a Pro Bowl. No question. Played like a Pro Bowler in that Super Bowl game.
I ain't going to take it that far. He played.
Why not?
He played well considering what he was going against. Yes, we have some dominant guys on the outside, but their biggest asset, their biggest weapons were taken away because of that turf, man. They couldn't turn the corner. You know what I'm saying? They just couldn't turn the corner, man. I mean, you got to find a way to counter it, though. I don't know how you counter that. You got to find a way, but they just didn't. He didn't get the full – Wiley didn't get the full game.
Arsenal?
He didn't get half the arsenal from Riddick. Riddick need to find another way to beat him. I mean, because what he was doing, he tried to turn the corner every single time. His feet would slip from underneath him. And then Wiley started finishing him. He started beating his tail.
And Wiley was laying on top of him, wouldn't let him get up.
He was wearing him out, bro. But, I mean, when you look at it, you're right. Jordan Davis, he was a non-factor.
Nope.
And when he came in and put him over the nose to be that nose and put him at that 3 technique, when they put in that 5-man front, when they went to bear front, when they covered the center and 2 guards, he was getting dominated.
And
man.
did you notice they would politely guide him one way or the other, and whichever way he went, the back ran the other way.
Yep.
And they did
Pacheco it. Pacheco had a great game, bro.
Yes, he did. Yeah. You know what? McKinnon had a good game.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
You know, I mean, it just like we said the day after the game. Everything that we thought would not happen with this team overall, offense, defense. You can't even say offense because offense did its job. Offense scored 35 points. Mm-hmm. What else do you want from the offense?
Well, I'm going to say this, though. I did say that my 2, not necessarily worries, but the guys we had to keep in check, I wasn't worried about any of the passing, was Pacheco, McKinnon. I said they're running again. I said, for some reason, I think Big Red is going to run the ball.
You did.
That was one of my points.
Yes, you did.
So if he can run the ball, it's going to open up everything else. And he came on that second half, started running the ball, and I said, oh, man. Oh,
that's
no.
True. Are you wearing red today in honor of the Chiefs?
No, it's not red, actually. It's actually orange. It's orange.
It looks red to me where I'm sitting.
You just go get everybody fired up again, aren't you?
There we go.
See?
All right, let's hit a couple of these points here. Eric Bieniemy's interviewing today as we speak with the Commanders. So that feels like
that's a done.
That feels like it's going to happen.
That's a done deal,
barring something crazy, you know. So that's not good news for the Eagles. I would rather he just stay in the AFC, but that's a whole nother story.
If Eric Bieniemy takes that job, the first thing I want to know is before I put my name in the contract, is Daniel Snyder selling the team? If not, I got a problem with this.
That's true. I hear you. That's fair. Canales was hired by the Bucs as their offensive coordinator. He has been a right-hand man of Pete Carroll for a very long time, going back to USC. That's how long he's been with Carroll. Dave Canales is his name. He is going to Tampa Bay. He was with Seattle since 2010. He was the wide receivers coach, quarterbacks coach, passing game coordinator, quarterbacks coach again, USC, special teams, tight ends, you know, et cetera. So he's been around Pete Carroll. He's heavily influenced by Pete Carroll, and he will be going there. Not an easy situation that he's taking over. That's for sure. A lot of uncertainty there. You know, no quarterback. He's got a tough job in front of him, depending on where they end up going. So that's Calvin Ridley has applied for reinstatement. He's now a Jag. He did get traded. You were able to trade him even though he was suspended. He was traded from the Falcons to the Jaguars. I just think like he will have almost 2 full years of not playing football, but if he gets back to close to where he was,
oh my goodness.
Think about the receiving core, and they have Ingram as their tight end. Man, Jacksonville's got a lot of weapons with ETN as the running back.
They're loaded, bro.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's Dougie P's got some weapons to play with here.
Bro, so they already have 3 really good receivers already. Add him to the mix. They got a pretty good tight end who banked on himself. They're gonna have to pay him though.
Yeah,
he signed a 1-year deal.
Yep.
If they can bring him back, ATN, and Lawrence has finally figured out what he is as a quarterback. Yes, he could be a drop back quarterback, but he's more effective when you use him as a dual threat quarterback.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
This is going to be real down there in Jacksonville. We already see what their defense is about. Those 2 first rounders they got, Walker and the other kid from Utah, the linebacker from Utah.
Yeah, Devin.
Yeah. That defense is going to be raw. Raw. So that means it's going to be tough down in that AFC South, man.
Yeah, man.
It'll be tough down there.
Legit. It's gonna be fun to watch Doug with all those players. The Bears have purchased a 326-acre plot of land in the Arlington Park area with the potential to build a stadium. It's not 100% they're going to build a stadium with it, but that's a lot, and it's going to be funded by the Bears, but also by the taxpayers. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But they clearly are looking to get out of Soldier Field as they've been talking about this for a long time. But
I love that Arlington Park area. Now the Bears leadership has said, "Oh, we're not sure if we're going to build a dome stadium." You don't pay that. What did they pay? 90-something million for $9 million for that property, 300-something acres. You ain't buying that just to put a shopping mall there.
Do a retractable roof.
That's what they're gonna do it. And
early in the year, but
they've used it as leverage against the city.
Yeah.
Well,
basically what they
deservedly so, man. I mean, if they go, it's just smart by them. I know for a fact that the Arizona Cardinals are pissed off at the league right now because they could have just put in turf instead of having that retractable thing that goes in and out, in and out.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They paid all that money for that, and look at that field that they had. They just had turf in there, put turf in there, they'd have been good to go.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? It'd been cheaper. It would cost $800,000 for 2 years to run that whole just the field itself. That's ridiculous, man. It shouldn't even cost over $100,000 to maintain a turf field for 5 years. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. They had to pay that much, bro.
I hear you. The Colts want to interview Jim Bob Cooter for the offensive coordinator job. He was a passing game coordinator for the Jags. He spent a year here in Philadelphia, so he and Shane Steichen have a relationship. They work together here in Philadelphia, so that could happen. He's got one of the great names in football too.
Cooter.
Sounds like he should have been a Dukes of Hazzard episode.
Right, exactly.
I'm going way back for our younger audience, but yeah.
Jim
But
Bob
guys,
Cooter.
I think there's like 10 or 11 coaches that were in the Eagles organization that are head coaches now.
That's right.
It's like 10 or 11.
Yeah. So let's run through it. All right, let's go. Sean McDermott.
That's one. Yep.
John Harbaugh.
2. Washington's coach, Rivera.
Kevin Stefanski was here as a quality control guy. He's Cleveland's coach.
Yep.
Doug Peterson.
Yep.
Shane Steichen.
Yep. Rivera.
I'm just doing the AFC, but Andy Reid.
Okay. Yep.
McDermott. You say McDermott?
It said McDermott. Yeah.
Okay.
Rivera, Barrett. Yes.
You say Frank Reich?
Frank Reich, Gannon, Todd Bowles.
Yep.
Yeah.
Am I missing anybody here? I think that's a lot. Whatever it is, that's a lot that we just reeled off.
That's crazy, man.
That's a lot.
I had on my show, I'm like, that is all awful. That's like 10, 11 guys that were in. I mean, Denver's coach. Sean Payne was
an Eagle coach. You're right.
He was my quarterback coach.
Yep.
He was my quarterback coach when I was when I first got to the league.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
That's
That's
a
good
lot
call.
of guys, man.
Good call there, for sure. Alabama has hired Ken Wisenhunt as an offensive assistant, head coach in the NFL.
That's my guy.
Yeah.
He was a tight end coach, then became an offensive coordinator the year we won the Super Bowl back in when I was with the Steelers.
Saban is really smart. Like he picks and chooses guys from the NFL, brings them in, and they always seem to help them down there. And that's how they develop guys who are pros. I mean, that's essentially a professional team, the way they run things.
Well, it also takes.
D'Amico Ryan, good call by Nick Sirianni.
That's right, D'Amico Ryan. Okay,
Player. Good call.
Yeah. Yep. Pat Shermer.
Where is he now? Is he still in the league? I'm
honestly, Detroit. Was he Detroit? No, was he Detroit?
I don't.
No, we're talking about head coaches now, though.
Yeah,
head coaches right now.
Coaches,
okay.
But hey,
good point.
That's crazy, man. That's literally crazy. This Eagles organization. You say the gold standard. We laughed at the owner back in the day, Jeffrey Lurie, saying he said the Eagles are the gold standard.
Yeah,
they have been the gold standard ever since he said that.
No question. Yeah. Shermer was with the Broncos, Derek. I think he's out of coaching right now. I don't know if he's picked up by anybody. But
you also talking about Alabama. Alabama is the places where coaches go if they've been messed up. And they have something bad on their record.
Yeah, Sarkisian.
Yeah,
he's a great for that. Yeah,
I mean, a lot of people go there, and then that's how they rejuvenate their career and get them back on track.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, absolutely, no question. All right, let's hit it. 2:00, Mike Quick. 2:00 is also when Howie and Nick Sirianni speak as well. So we'll let you
okay
know
now, Rob? You okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right right now.
I'm concerned about you. Okay.
I'm okay. I can get through the second half of the show. I'll be fine. We have Derek Bodner coming up. Talk a little Sixers at the midway point. We got a lot to discuss, that's for sure. He's Derek. He's Barrett. I'm Rob. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Time to tell you about Flynn Tree Services. Flynn Tree Services is an experienced, licensed, and insured Pennsylvania tree services company that will trim or remove any unwanted trees off of your property. They offer cost-effective solutions to any tree problem that you may face. So if you have any types of issues in your yard or on your property, they're just a quick phone call away. And they trim all types of trees. And they serve southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, and northern Delaware. They specialize in tree removal, stump grinding, as well as tree pruning. Keep in mind, we're in that time of year right now. We've had a little bit of a soft winter. Might be a good time to get your trees evaluated before the heavy stuff hits. You go to their Facebook or Instagram page for more information or a sampling of their work. Give Flynn Tree Services a call at 610-850-2848, 610-850-2848, or online at flynntreeservices.com. That's flynntreeservices.com.
Philadelphia fans were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at JAKIB. At DryTech, we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
My name is Fran Soleno, and I'm a managing director here at Del Valle Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
All right, we're back. We are Sports Day, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis. Talked a lot of birds through the first half of the program. We will revisit the Eagles in a little bit with Mike Quick, but joining us right now does a phenomenal job covering the Sixers. And you should check out, yes, there he is, the Daily Six newsletter. Just go to dailysix.com. You can follow him on Twitter as well, at Derek Bodner NBA. It's good to see him. We haven't talked to him in a bit. Derek, what's going on, my man?
Not much. Same thing as everyone else in Philly, trying to get over Sunday, but we'll get there.
Well, Derek,
I'm not there yet, Derek. Are you there, man?
No, I wouldn't say I'm there. I will say it didn't. I don't think it hit me quite as hard as I expected it to, and I think that's probably 95% because we just got one 5 years ago, whereas I'd waited legitimately my whole life for that moment, and also because you're so confident with the future. But it stung a lot, but I think it maybe didn't hurt quite as much because of those two factors.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at this point, I'm thoroughly unenthused with you right now, man, because I don't see my buddy. Where's my cat at, man? I don't see the cat.
There we go.
There we go. What's your cat's name, by the way? Did we ever get the cat's name?
Her name's Cooper.
Okay, Cooper. Okay. All right, good. Now we're good. Now we're back on a good pace. Now,
all right,
man.
back on track. That was concerning for a minute there.
There he goes.
So, Derek, a lot to dig into. I'll start with this before I get into the whole first half thing and last night's game and all that. Do you think Embiid said last night that he may or may not play? His doctors are advising him he should be shutting things down for like 2 weeks with the foot. We know he likes to talk sometimes too. In fairness, like he just will say things. Do you think that there's a chance? What percentage would you put on him not playing in the All-Star game? He's a starter now, by the way, too.
Yeah. No, I don't think he said that if he had no intention of following through on it. This is something where he has missed games. You know, I think he heard it against the Timberwolves initially back in November, somewhere around mid-November. So he's been dealing with this for legitimately about 3 months now. And he's missed a game here or there. He's missed you've seen him come down and wince at times. I do think this is a legitimate injury. It is something that, we've been talking about. How is this going to get better if he continues to play on it?
Yep.
Now, will a week off of it fix it? No, probably not. But it still might be the wise thing to do because it can only help. So I do think he said that for a pretty specific reason. I think there's a pretty good chance he might end up, going to All-Star Sunday, but maybe not participating in it, or if he does, playing a very limited amount. I think he said that with the reason behind it. So I think there's definitely something to it for sure.
Hey, Derek, the last time we talked to you, and we all had our concerns about this Eagles starting lineup, the depth, the rotation, but they're 19 games above 500 right now heading into the All-Star break. Where do you stand out in terms of what you're seeing from this team?
I think they've looked very good. Ever since Harden came back there in early December, they have been one of, if not the best teams in the NBA record-wise. I think their offense has looked very good for most of this stretch. I think Harden he's gotten stronger here as the season gone on, has maybe exceeded my expectations. I think they've got role players who can make spot-up catch and shoot shots. So if Harden's getting into that paint and kicking out, the offense is going to be tough to stop. I have my questions defensively and whether or not they can hold up. A combination of, Harden, and when he looks disinterested defensively, it looks real bad. You hope that's not going to be the case in the playoffs, but that can rear up. Maxey can be exploited. Tobias Harris can fall asleep. Montrezl Harrell when they were playing him backup center. There's just a few too many exploitable defenders for me to be 100% confident in this team being a finals contender. But I do think some of the moves they made, I think Jalen McDaniels, if Doc is more comfortable putting him on the floor for extended stretches because he has more offensively, then he will help their defense. Even if he's not maybe as good of a defender as Thibault was, he's been going to Paul Reed as a backup and he can hold his own defensively. So I think there's reasons to be encouraged, but their defense has been very up and down and very inconsistent. And you wonder how much of that is because they just have one or two too many exploitable defenders, and how much of that is just a long regular season that they lose interest in from time to time. I think they're a very good team. I think they could win, 53, 54, 55 games. I think they could push for a, top 2, top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. And I think they have a chance to go to the finals. I'm just not sure, is that a 5 or 10% chance, or is that a 15 or 20% chance? And a lot of that's going to come down to whether or not they can, find another gear defensively.
Do they have Derek? Do they have better parts? Like, in other words, I hear you with the defense, and ultimately, you got a lot of half-court offense in the playoffs, and you got to defend. But just looking at it with Melton, with adding McDaniels, and Harden being more of the facilitator, are they better equipped if they are locked in defensively, in your estimation, than the teams that we've seen be real good in the regular season the last few years, but not good enough? Or is it too tough to tell right now?
Yeah. I mean, they maybe don't have quite, in prior years, and I almost don't want to mention his name because he's struggling so much and he's such a hot button topic, but you had another elite defender to go alongside of Embiid. You had Thibault then to throw in the mix. You had a few more maybe elite defensive pieces, but I think this team does have more depth. The question is really, it comes down to on the perimeter. Can Harden and Maxey hold up? And it's a lot of times your defense is as strong as its weakest link. They have two pretty weak links there on the perimeter. And even Melton, who is a very good team defender, can struggle to get through screens at times. So there are things that you can attack. It's just how much, I think they have more depth defensively, and how much can Embiid in the playoffs, overcome a lot of that. I do think they have more depth. They've just got a couple of key pieces that I think are tough to hide.
Well, let me ask you this. We're talking about the players. How about coaching, man? Can Doc do it? Can Doc get it done? Is he getting it done, well enough for you right now?
Well enough. I think he has his blinders that I disagree with him on, for sure. I think
playing younger guys.
Yeah, and I mean, they just signed another guy who I think is pretty well washed, but is going to be in that rotation, I think, ahead of Paul Reed. And it's decisions like that make me question it. I think they have not been the most locked in. Doc Rivers comes in and he talks about changing the culture. Their habits have not been as good as you would hope them to be defensively, attention to detail throughout the regular season. Do I have my concerns with Doc? Yeah, I mean, he's been historically pretty slow to adjust in the playoffs. And I think generally speaking, Doc does a pretty good job of finding a base scheme to execute in the regular season. And I think he's been slow at times throughout his career to adjust in the playoffs. And that concern is certainly still there.
Well, let's talk about Harden and what he is now, Derek, and what. Yes, he has to defend. There's no question about it. But the way that he is facilitating the offense and the way he's sort of adapted his game. Do you look at him at what you're seeing this year from what we saw last year, which granted was tough. He came over here late, but is he a guy who's adapted his game to make everybody around him better, or is this more out of necessity? How do you view Harden right now?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. I think certainly he has taken a step or two back athletically, and he couldn't be the same James Harden he was not only with Houston, but even a couple of years ago when he first got to the Nets before he hurt that hamstring. I don't think he could carry an offense the same way that he did back then. Mm-hmm. But I do think it made sense for him to adapt his game to play alongside Joel Embiid. He's going to run a lot more, pick and roll, a lot more being a setup man, making those pocket passes to get Joel into the spots that he wants. And I think he's done a really good job of that. And on top of that, I think he's, we've seen him now against the Nets and Nick Claxton, and last night against Mobley, where he's gotten into the paint off of some pretty good defenders who are long and can move their feet. I do think he is changing gears quicker than he did last year. I think having another year to come back off the hamstring has helped him. Is he back to where he was in his prime? No, he's, in his early to mid 32, 33, whatever he's at. But I think he looks better. And I think that little bit is key because he has so many, ways he can change direction that he can get you off balance. And last year, even when he got you off balance, he just didn't have quite enough to explode out of that move and get by his guy. This year, I think he's doing a better job of that. And when he does that, because he is such an elite passer, and because the Sixers do have quite a few, catch and shoot spot up shooters, I think he is playing the style of play that they need him to play. And, offensively, I have a lot fewer question marks right now than I had at this time last year about James Harden. And that's big. You do need him to buy in more defensively. I'm not holding my breath on that. He has a pretty established track record on that side of the court. But offensively, when they're clicking, they're a very tough team to stop.
Derek, the role of Maxey right now coming off the bench, is that the best suited role for him on this Eagles team, Sixers team right now? Or do you eventually see him sliding back into the starting lineup?
I think if you would have looked at what they were hoping to accomplish with this change, which is, you want to get a little better, a little more defense on the perimeter, a little more size defensively, and maybe put Maxey in a spot where he can attack more. Maxey's been pretty up and down ever since the change. He's talked about how this has been a little tough for him to adjust to, and their defense has not trended in the right direction. I think through the rest of this season, I would expect them to keep Melton in the starting lineup and continuing going with what they have. But I think long term, I do think he slots back in that starting lineup. That might be next year, but I don't think you can have Harden here long term and Max coming off the bench long term. I think eventually those two need to figure out how to work together. And I think that mostly comes down on the defensive side of the court. I do think they can play off of each other offensively. But I think long term, he will be back in the starting lineup. I just don't think it's going to be this year.
And Derek, I know he's a bit inconsistent offensively, but just talk about the impact and what you think Melton brings to the table. The Anthony Melton, not Shake Milton. Melton.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, this is a team that has a lot of one-way players, whether that is, George Niang off the bench, James Harden. There just aren't or previously Matisse Thybulle, and even in his place now, Jalen McDaniels. They have different weaknesses, but there's very few players on this team who are two-way players. And for him to be that, for him to be able to play off ball, for him to be able to give you a little bit creating with the ball in his hands and to hold up on defense, just having somebody you can put up in pretty much any lineup combination, it's something they don't have very much of. He's been very good. He's been one of the, I think, the key offseason additions across the league, or at least the under the radar offseason acquisitions. And, with Daryl Morey, some of his role players have been hit or miss. Daniel House is out of the rotation. PJ Tucker has, I think, been disappointing for a lot of people. Well, Melton's a pretty big win, and he's not only under contract this year, but he has under contract next year as well under a very team-friendly deal. That was a real key acquisition. He's been real good.
Let me follow up on Tucker. I think anybody who expected him to come in and average 12 points a game, they were kidding themselves. They haven't been watching him. But what aspects has he disappointed in your estimation? Is he not as active defensively, rebounding, doing dirty work? What is he saving himself for the postseason? That's the theory with some. What do you think's going on with Tucker?
Yeah. I think, first of all, he went through, a little bit of I don't want to say a crisis in confidence, because crisis might be a little bit too strong. But he was certainly, I think, second guessing his shot a little more than he had in previous years. And a big part of that is he missed for quite a bit. He was not on target. And I don't think I necessarily expected that. He's never been a high volume shooter, but he's always been a willing shooter since he entered the rotation with Houston all those years ago. So I think that was part of it. And I do think some of the Sixers, I think at times can overhelp defensively. And I think he was chief among them. I think maybe because the Sixers have quite a few defenders who can be taken off the dribble, I think he was out of position maybe more than I expected. So I think it's mostly those two. But he went 2 months where you were playing 4-on-5 on offense. And that was, whenever we talk about him, that's the number one thing. It was tough to watch at times. Defensively, he's probably taken a half step back, maybe a step back. I do think he's still good, especially man to man. I think he can really help you there. But they need to. He's been playing better lately, and they need him to. They need him to earn those minutes because they don't have very many one-on-one defenders.
Well, Derek, let me look at this. Let me ask you this then. Looking, going into the playoffs, where do they need to be to optimize their chances of getting to the finals or even getting close to the finals? Because at this point, I don't think it'll be fair them playing against the Celtics. Or Milwaukee, what would you think would be the best way of getting slotted and having some success in the playoffs? Yeah,
I mean, at this point, you would obviously, especially with the Nets taking a step back, I don't think you have to worry about that all that much. I think the first round matchup, you've pretty much got a pretty set in stone top four in the East with, the Bucks and the Celtics and the Sixers and the Cavs, who just came in here last night. And after that, I think they should, if we're sitting here trying to debate which one of the remaining teams they should play in the first round, then you're probably not a true title contender anyway. I think when you look at it and you're looking at, the Nets with their reworked team And look, they've got a lot of really good defenders. I expect them to be a good defensive squad. Bridges dropped, I think, a career high 45 last night. So you look to see how he's going to react in that new role. But you should be able to beat that Brooklyn team, the Knicks, the Heat, the Hawks, like all of those teams. I'm not looking at any of them and, really sweating them. So I think they're in a pretty good spot here. They do have an exceptionally tough schedule here in March, a road-heavy schedule, a very jam-packed schedule. I think they play something like 17 games in the month of March, and a lot of tough opponents. So you could see them struggle relatively compared to what they've been doing lately, but they should stay in the top 4. And I think as long as they stay in the top 4, they should be good to go.
See, Derek, I was going to ask you, when you look at the last 25 games, that's a monster schedule for this team.
Yeah.
As you sit here and you navigate through it, what do you need to see from this team to make you feel comfortable about them as they get ready to go into the playoffs?
Well, I think a lot of it is defensively. Like, can Doc find the right rotations? Can he push the right buttons to get them competing defensively night in, night out? And can they just maintain their focus a little more? Like last night was a perfect example. They went up against a Cavs team who I think had won 7 in a row. They were their top 3 ranked defense in the league. And they have 2 guards who are really tough to defend. And they pummeled them in the first half, up 25 at halftime. They were executing extremely well on both sides of the ball. And then you come out at halftime and it's like they're already on All-Star break and they completely fall asleep. And that happens a lot where they, not only take their foot off the gas, but become completely disinterested. And you look at it and, they've won 12 of the last 15 or whatever. And they've, one of the best records in the league since the beginning of December. They have these moments where they take their foot off the gas and it doesn't cost them. But in the playoffs, when you're talking about Boston and Milwaukee, it absolutely will. So you look at the increase in competition here coming up in the next month and a half. Can they navigate that without having those periods where they let up? Because they will have to continue winning at this rate.
Regarding Embiid, Derek, another incredible season. There's no question about that. We talked about the foot being sore, but you look what he's doing. I mean, 33 and 10 and 53%, 85% from the free throw line, which kind of gets overlooked sometimes. What he does on the defensive side of this thing. Could this be the year he finally cracks the MVP thing, or do you think that's just out of the question for him for whatever weird reason that people may have against the process or something else?
I think it's going to come down to him and Jokic once again. And, I do think this is a year. I know the ESPN straw poll just came out today and he was 3rd.
Yeah, Jokic was first.
Jokic was first, but Embiid was 10th the last time there was a straw poll. So, I think momentum is building towards Embiid for MVP. I do think there is a little bit of Jokic fatigue, but when you look at the numbers that he puts up, and the fact that Denver currently is first in the West, and it's going to be, like, I would still say Jokic is probably the favorite, whether he should be or not. I think there's a real chance Jokic could repeat. Now, Embiid is having a truly incredible season. And I think if the Sixers continue to push for a top seed in the East, I think he has a chance. But it's
what is it, do you think? I mean, what seems, I'm taking nothing away from Jokic, but he doesn't play on the other end like Embiid does. So
Embiid is definitely a better two-way player. I think a big part of it is Jokic he sort of breaks our brains, and the way he is able to run an offense and put up those kind of numbers, we're just not used to seeing from a 7-footer. And I think that uniqueness and breaking sort of the mold is something that I think voters react to. And his numbers are just, he shoots like 60% from the field on high volume with absurd passing numbers. And he's a blast. It's tough because I love Jokic and the way he plays and the style and the impact he makes on offense. He's a point guard in a 7-footer's body, and he might be the best passer in the game right now. But there's a massive difference on the defensive side of the court. I think Joel, I think part of the problem is we become very, and myself included, I like to utilize stats to help describe what's going on the court. But I think we do a much worse job of that on defense. I don't think we do a good job of encapsulating a player's impact and the scheme they're playing in. So I think that helps, where Jokic is weak might not be represented in stats all that well. And I think that's part of it as well.
Hey, Derek, when you look at all the wheelings and dealings that went on before the trade deadline, across the league, not just in the East, but across the league, who do you think has now put themselves in a much better position to get to the finals?
Well, Kevin Durant in Phoenix is the obvious one. That's not, I don't think, breaking any news there. I think what was interesting is the Eastern Conference relatively didn't do a whole lot. Boston added Muscala, Crowder went to Milwaukee, but more or less the top 4 teams in the East. Cleveland didn't really do anything. Miami traded salary, which ended up on the Sixers, to lower their luxury tax bill. The Sixers didn't do anything massive. They added a rotation piece, but nothing massive. So I think the Eastern Conference, especially the top, outside of obviously Brooklyn blowing things up, stayed relatively the same. But I mean, the Phoenix Suns might be the favorite for the title right now, so they're certainly the biggest one there. And I do think the Lakers got better. It's just I don't think they got better enough where it should matter.
Let me ask you, and I won't even bring up his name, but did Brooklyn get better in a weird way? You got Kyrie out of there, Durant out of there. They add Mikal Bridges. They add some other pieces, Dinwiddie, guys who actually want to play basketball, that kind of thing. Are they better than they were? I know it sounds nuts, but what's your thought?
I wouldn't say they're better this year, but I think they're in a really good spot going forward. They got a bunch of draft picks, and a lot of the players they got back have really good trade value, especially when you look at someone like Bridges. There was a report that they were offered 4 first-round picks for him. So you got the picks that you got for Durant, the picks that you got from the Sixers for Harden, and I think given how much they mortgaged for that big 3, the paper champions, and considering the way that it all blew up in their face, I think they recovered and pivoted very well. So I think they're well set up for the future. But I do think I think they're going to be an annoying opponent in the first round. I just don't think they have quite enough firepower to really be all that dangerous. So I don't think they're going to be necessarily better this year, but I think they're in a very good spot. And I'm honestly surprised with what they got. Like, obviously, when you trade Kevin Durant, you're going to get a lot back. But I think what they got with Cam Johnson, with Bridges, with all those draft picks, I think they did very well for themselves. And I think it was right for them to trade him now rather than waiting until the summer when he was probably going to ask out and you're going to have less leverage. So I think they did well.
Hey, Derek, coming back to the 76ers for just a moment, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't think Harden would be as effective as he has been as a facilitator, as much as a scorer. I thought because he was so one-dimensional in terms of being this prolific scorer, that being more of a facilitator might hurt his overall game. I think he's a better all-around player now because he's enhanced that aspect of his game.
Yeah. No, I think he's always been a good passer. But with Houston, it was more like there was so much attention brought on him by the defense that you just surrounded him with 4 shooters, put him in the corners. Not all of them. You can't put 4 players in corners. Put shooters in the corners, put shooters around him, and let him create for them. Whereas now I think he's certainly diversified the way he can attack, and he's embraced it. And I think that's really the difference. It would have been easy for him to come here, especially because he is probably going to opt out and going to be a free agent next summer, to try to show that he was old James Harden. And I think if he would have done that, he would have failed. So I give him a lot of credit for not needing the shots, for not needing to completely dominate the ball the way he did in Houston, and for adapting. Because I do think he's always had good court vision, and I think that's always been a strength of his game, and maybe overlooked at times because he was averaging 30-odd points per game with the Rockets. But the style that he's creating those shots out of, I think it's been impressive to watch. He's been almost exactly what they need from him offensively.
Any idea if he's back, Derek? I know the floated Houston story and all that kind of stuff, but do you think he'll be back here?
I think there's certainly a greater than 50-50 chance. Okay. I don't know exactly how far up that would go, but I think certainly when you combine, Morey being here and the interest obviously being there, with the Sixers being in the right spot in terms of, he gives them a chance to contend and they wouldn't be able to replace him if he left. And, Houston, does he have a connection to the city? Does he have family still living there? Sure. But I think the Houston rumor was much more, they need somebody to play the Sixers off of so they can get the most money possible. Right. Not so much that he's disinterested or dissatisfied with Philadelphia. I would expect him to be back. I think it's probably going to be at a salary number that's going to make me completely uncomfortable, and will probably make most people completely uncomfortable, considering he's going to be 33, 34 when next season starts.
Yeah, everybody except Daryl Morey will be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Right.
But I do think I expect him to be back, and he just hired an agent for the first time in maybe 6 or so years. So that tells you he's probably going to negotiate for every dollar he can get because this is his last major contract.
All right, last one from me. Are you buying the Knicks in any way, shape, or form?
No.
That was quick.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I don't buy their offense at all. I'm not a very big Randall fan. I think they've got some nice pieces, but I still think they need they need that one true star to make everything fall into line.
I lied. Boston or Milwaukee, the team to beat?
I think Boston is more dependable two-way.
Okay.
Certainly Milwaukee, I think, has been there, and I think they have the best player out of that group, so you give them a puncher's chance. But I think Boston is the best constructed team in the East.
Okay. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Derek, listen, man, keep up the good work.
Appreciate you, man.
Enjoy a little break here. They're off for another 8 days, whatever it is, 7 days. You can check out his Daily Six newsletter. Go to daily6.com. At Derek Bodner NBA is where you can link up to all of his stories and great updates on the Sixers. We appreciate it, Derek. Thanks for jumping on, man.
All right,
Thank you,
Cooper.
man. Appreciate it, bro.
Oh yeah, bye to Cooper.
See you later, Cooper.
Bye, Cooper. All right, Derek. Always good catching up with him, man. That's for sure. All right, guys, let's hit it. We'll come back. Mike Quick's going to join us. We'll get the latest on what's happening with him. He called the game with Merrill Reese. He was out there. We'll see where he stands on this thing. A few days removed to soak it all in. And we will dig into that when we get back. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis. We're hanging out with you on this Thursday. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's talk about Razor technology. All right, hybrid work. Future of work isn't remote or in person. It's a hybrid model. In facing this new reality, businesses must reimagine their workplaces to align with preferences and needs of modern employees. Razor technology helps businesses create a workplace that gives their teams flexibility in choosing how and where they put in their hours. Online platforms for communication and collaboration, combined with secure and adaptable mobile devices, are enabling hybrid meetings and experiences that are nearly on par with in-person events, so everyone can feel like they're part of the conversation. Employees with strong social connections with their team report better well-being, higher productivity, and stronger retention rates. Razor technology helps growing organizations adapt to hybrid environments with industry-leading digital tools and insightful guidance that promotes efficiency and workplace satisfaction. Learn more by calling Razor Technology at 866-797-3282, 866-797-3282, or visit them online at razor-tech.com. That's razor-tech.com.
Philadelphia fans, were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at JAKIB. At JAKIB we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing, The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
My name is Fran Soleno. I'm a managing director here at Del Valle Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
Back. Derek, Rob, the chair. Sports Day. Hanging out with you on this lovely, lovely, rainy now Wednesday. Hope you're doing well out there. We're going to have Mike Quick joining us in a little bit. Looking forward to talking to Q, getting his take on everything that's going on with this Eagles, interesting offseason. I mean, really, more than anything else, this is going to be a challenge. The nice thing is, you got the quarterback in place. You got a lot of pieces in place on offense, but there's a lot of question marks with the coordinators and certainly with the defensive side of the ball. That's also what we're hearing is Vance Joseph will be someone that will be brought in for an interview. Of course, Denard Wilson is the man who's already in place in-house on that side of the ball. Not to say that it's a done deal that Brian Johnson's getting the gig. But Howie and Nick Sirianni are going to be speaking in a little bit. Maybe we'll get a little more insight. Maybe the picture gets a little clearer, guys, after they speak. Who knows? They may just play very close to the vest.
Excuse me, guys. This dog got out. Sorry.
That's all right. But it will be interesting, Barrett, to see where they end up going here.
They also say that Nick Rollis is also a guy that, up and coming guy that people are talking about as far as being a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, linebackers coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's one of those new, innovative type of guys. If they did bring in a guy like Vance Joseph, it would be what this city has been asking for. A guy that's going to blitz more so than run base offense, defense.
Right.
I mean.
Yeah.
He's a guy that brings the blitz a lot. It's more of a 3-4 system, but it's a 3-4 system that one gaps. Usually when you run 3-4 system, you have the nose and the two tackles are two gappers, meaning they stay like the nose guard will stand the center up and the defensive ends will stand the tackles up. Mm-hmm. And they'll have, gaps on either side of them. So they won't be a penetrating type of defense, but you blitz with the linebackers from, the four linebackers.
Right.
Well, Vance is a little different. His is actually almost an overfront. Overfront meaning it looks like a 3-4, but they'll kick the tackle down to the end down to a 3 and bring an outside linebacker on the outside, and it'll look like a 4-down look. Mm-hmm. But you could, those will be one gappers. They'll be responsible for one gap. Then they bring a lot of blitzes from that.
Right.
From what we have on the team right now,
yeah. Are they better suited for that?
I think they are. I think that's exactly what the doctor ordered for the guys that are on contract right now. Put it like that. Mm-hmm. They're under contract right now. And I have to, keep prefacing that. The guys that are on contract right now will fit that system. So when you look at a guy like Milton Williams, he's a guy that can play in the 3. He can play that head up tackle over the end over the tackle. He can play that. The guys they have on the outside are linebacker-esque type of pass rushers. You got Hassan Reddick, Patrick Johnson, Kyron Johnson. Mm-hmm. You look at the guy that put at the nose and at the 3 technique. You got Jordan Davis. You got Marlon Tuipulotu. Mm-hmm. Those guys are just traditional nose guards. There were one gap, but they'd be there to kind of hold space. So they kind of fit that system. You know what I'm saying? It'll fit the system that he wants to run. And they have guys that can blitz. I mean, Nakobe Dean will be a hell of a blitzer. He's small, but he gets lost in everything, and that's kind of what you want from a blitzer. Reminds me a lot of Potsy. I forget Potsy. James Ferrier. We call him Potsy, but James Ferrier. Same type of guy, a Larry Foote type of player.
Okay.
You know, him. Foot, not necessarily big linebackers, but linebackers that can run, evade, people touching them. So they really have what you would term as a 3-4, almost base 3-4 type of team when it comes to the guys up front. Now the linebackers will just be linebackers, but they have rush in linebackers like in a 3-4 system. So, I mean, if you get pointed in the right direction, it'll be an easy transition for them to bring in a guy like Vance Joseph.
Okay. Yeah. So, Gunnar, we were just talking about, just where this could end up going here. If it is Vance Joseph, do they maybe go to a 3-4, that kind of stuff? Gunnar, you muted.
Considering the volume of turnover this team could have, they could bring in a bunch of players who are more adept to a 3-4 as well. Yep. You wouldn't have to switch as many players to a 3-4. You would be looking for players who play there both in the college levels and the pro level for that matter. So it might not be, and plus Reddick played for him. So,
that's a good point.
It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea at all.
Yeah, it's a good point.
That it could happen. But whoever you hire, whoever you're hiring outside of elevating someone else inside, you're going to allow them to come in here and bring their scheme, whatever that scheme is, and the existing players will have to adapt, and a new wave of players coming in will be players that are comfortable in that system.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to the man himself. And he called Super Bowl 57 along with his partner, Merrill Reese, for 94 WIP, has done an amazing job as the Eagles radio color analyst for a very long time after a storied NFL career. And he's an Eagles Hall of Famer. And he joins us right now. Mike Quick, what's going on, Q?
Hey, man. What's happening, Rob and the gang?
What's up,
going on, man? How's it going, bro?
Q, we're still licking the wounds a little bit, man. Not quite there yet on this Thursday. How about you?
Yeah, I understand that. And let me correct you. He's the man. I'm the man next to the man.
But that's not a bad place to be, the man next to the man either. That's not bad.
The little guy is the man. I'm the man next to the man. But yeah, I think we're all probably stinging still just a little bit from the loss. But man, it was at the end of this thing, there's only going to be one of the 32 teams that are satisfied with their season. Yeah. And all the other 31 teams, although you get there right on the doorstep and you don't get it, you're just as disappointed as the teams that didn't even make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Well
Absolutely said. Right, man. But when you looked at the game, going into the game, how positive are you that the Eagles can go out and pull a victory out against Big Red and Patrick Mahomes?
Well, I felt pretty good about the Eagles' chances of winning the game. In fact, I remember saying to someone, I'm not even comfortable in how good I feel about their chances. Right. Because I really felt like the Eagles were the better football team, top to bottom, if you look at the rosters. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't always pan out that way, and we all know that. But I just believe that the Eagles were going to win the game. I thought that they're a better football team, well coached. They've done all the things the right way to get to this point. And I thought that they had enough in the room to win. So the night before the game, Nick didn't even speak. He had a lot of the veterans or key veterans get up and kind of talk about, the moment and where they are and taking advantage of the moment. And I know that they have strong veteran leadership on the team. And, after hearing about that, I just felt like this team is ready. They're going to get it done. So, yeah, it's very disappointing and it's hard to swallow. And even, 3-4 days afterwards.
Mike, there's so many different elements to this game that still make you scratch your head in bafflement. And one that really sticks out is Nick Sirianni deciding to go for the 3 points instead of for it on 4th and 6 when his 4th down conversion had been 73% the entire season. Yeah. You know, A.J. Brown came out and said after the game, he said it was at that point I felt the possibility we were going to lose this game. Did you feel that way at that point, that Nick gave up a golden opportunity to really stick it in it and to put that much more pressure on the Chiefs?
Well, I don't want to put it all on Nick,
right.
But the decision-making to that point had been very aggressive.
Yeah.
And I felt like that's just the way they are. That's who they are. And you really, just based on the history, you expect Nick to go for it in that situation.
Yeah.
Especially given, you know, the hit rate for that team, because they can do it in so many ways.
Yep.
So I just think he went away from like down deep who he is that guy that wants to go for it in those tough situations. And I think at that moment he got away from who he is and what got him to that point.
That's
Mike, exactly what happened too.
Had you heard anything pregame, day before, guys talking about the turf at all? Had you heard any whispers, prior to kickoff that guys are out there falling all over the place, warm-ups or anything? Or was it a big surprise to you the way that it was, as moist, wet, whatever the heck was going on there as it was?
Well, it was a surprise to me because I know that they have backup fields there. Mm-hmm. This is one of these new wave facilities where the actual field itself, they can roll out of the stadium, roll off to the side, roll in a fresh turf. And that's what they did. But whatever the treatment was prior to that, evidently wasn't the best for football. Maybe it was better for the other football where you don't touch the ball with your hands, but really wasn't conducive to the type of football that these guys play. Mm-hmm. It was very thin, tight turf. It looks like a turf that you can definitely run on. I mean, a turf that's built for speed, but the stopping, cutting that you have to do in football, it wasn't the best surface for that.
Mm.
The guy that really made the turf or produced the turf is a golf guy. So he's probably you'll probably be one of his biggest fans. How much golf you play, man. But
Toma, George Toma.
Yeah, it's a different surface than playing golf than it is playing in the NFL, man. And you saw that the Chiefs, they didn't change their cleats at all. What was that all about? Were we that unprepared to go in with that field, or what? What do you think?
Hey, maybe they knew something that we didn't, because I didn't pay much attention to the Chiefs and how much or if spikes, but I saw several of the Eagles guys changing their spikes because of how much they were slipping, particularly the defensive backs. When they came out and they were going through their regular pregame drills, I saw a lot of slipping going on there.
Mike, let's talk a little bit about from a defensive standpoint. Their calling card had been getting to the quarterback and finishing them. And I know it's Patrick Mahomes, and that's tough. It's not easy to bring that guy down, but no sacks. Is that probably the aspect that surprised you most about this game, that the defense wasn't able to be more effective than they were?
No question, without a doubt. And, not just the sacks, but the lack of pressures. They didn't have a lot of pressures where they were making him just run around. Yeah, he runs around a little bit because he's Patrick Mahomes. Even when he doesn't have to, he wants to get on the move sometimes because he's so good on the move. But I thought with the two offensive linemen, even Orlando Brown, and I know Brown's really good, Andrew Wiley on the right side, I was sure that he was going to give up a little more sacks, pressures, and it just wasn't happening. I thought that Josh Sweat and
BG
well, BG, of course, but Hassan Reddick. I thought Sweat and Reddick would definitely get a lot more pressure than they did. They would get more hits on the quarterback. It just wasn't there. The offensive line for KC, they did a whole lot better than I expected them to do.
Mm-hmm. Mike?
Well, aided by the smart play calling of Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, though.
Yes. Yes, no question about it. Mike, this for a team that was at the highest of highs in terms of success, stats build up this season. Now we're sitting here wondering, will it be the lowest of lows? You're down 2 coordinators. At least 7 of your defensive players could be potential free agents.
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest turnovers that this organization has seen in quite some time. Where do they go from here? Because we assume they're going to build a playoff caliber team. The offense is going to take care of a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to be spoiled in some ways by the overall success of this defense because it's not going to be nearly what we're accustomed to seeing. Where does this team go from here?
Yeah, that's a big one. I like you. I feel like there's going to be huge turnover in the offseason with new coaches coming in. And I don't think we've seen all the coaches that are going to leave.
Yeah.
I'm sure Shane's going to have a couple of guys that he's going to take with him. I know Jonathan Gannon has a couple of guys that he's going to also take out to Arizona. So it's not just the roster of players and those 2 coordinators.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys who are really tied into those guys that were going through every little detail of the drills, the guys that really got to know these players, several of those guys are no longer here. So now you bring in new guys, and that whole time that it takes to know what these guys are, know what situation you can put them in and be able to count on those guys in those situations. Dude, there's a whole process here that's going to have to take some time to fill itself out before players know coaches and respect them and trust them and vice versa. That takes a lot of time. And this doesn't happen just over a training camp, especially the way training camps are run today.
Yes.
Happen overnight. This takes time. And so with this roster turnover, with this coaching staff turnover, there's a lot to be done there.
Yeah.
No question.
There's that traditional hangover too. When you lose the Super Bowl, it's always tough.
That's right.
Mike, on a positive note, excluding the one, it was a big mistake, but Jalen Hurts was amazing. Just flat out unbelievable in that game. And, let's face it, we hadn't really seen him throw it particularly well, and didn't have to, but particularly well since coming back from the shoulder, right? Obviously he's going to get paid in the offseason, but how encouraging was that on the grandest of stages?
Well, you said what I think, because he didn't have to. I think he was in a situation where he had to make big throws, and he made big throws, and I thought he was outstanding. The one thing that the Eagles don't have to worry about in the offseason, the quarterback position, other than getting, and he will get paid. But that position, I think they have to bring in a better backup than the backup quarterback that they went with this year. But that position is pretty much locked up. It's a really good place for them to be.
Mike, Miles Sanders down the stretch, obviously was not the same running back that we watched.
Right.
Accumulated 1,000 yards rushing. And then I was told that hit he took on his first carry, swelled his hand up like bees stung him.
Yeah.
So that didn't help his situation as well. You know how the Eagles are with their running backs. They don't look for a primary running back. They like running backs by committee. Is it a foregone conclusion that Miles Sanders will be wearing somebody else's uniform next year?
I tend to think he's going to be in another uniform. Yeah, just based on the whole landscape. I know he rushed for over 1,200 yards this year, and he had a really good year. But yeah, down the stretch when it was crucial, I thought too many times they were willing to go with Kenny Gainwell or Boston Scott.
That's right.
Miles Sanders for various reasons. And if that is the case, then I could see them moving on from Miles, because there are going to be some other young guys. Boston Scott, I think, and when they started to really give Kenny Gainwell more opportunities, you saw a lot of production out of him. Burst, he's explosive, he can catch the ball, it's hard to match up with Kenny Gainwell. He's a tough matchup, and he presses the hole. And Boston Scott, I just think that you have to give him, whenever they give Boston Scott opportunities, Boston Scott comes up big.
I don't know.
And I
He's
just
that guy.
think he can do it anytime you need him or ask him to do it.
Well, let me ask you this then. Let's flip to the other side of the ball. Who would be your number one and number 1A must-sign back player on the defensive side of the ball?
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
But do you realistically think that he's going to entertain the money that they're going to try to give him as opposed to what people are going to try to give him out in the open market? I just think you paying a quarterback, it's going to be hard for you to pay Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
Well, there's going to be, there's 20 plus added to the salary cap this year. 20 plus million to the salary cap. And when you go through what you have to pay the quarterback, there's still going to be a lot of ways that Howie Roseman can manipulate the salary cap and can manipulate the money that he has to sign certain guys. To me, that the main guy that's going to be a free agent on the defensive side, I think, is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I think his addition to the secondary made the secondary a much better secondary.
Absolutely.
Now, forward, if you got Reed Blankenship back there, you got Marcus Epps, you got Chauncey, you got Devontae, you've got to do something at one of the corner spots. In fact, I think you should do something at both the corner spots and making that position stronger. That's to me how you start to really build this defense.
Interesting, both corner spots.
Yeah.
If Kelsey sticks around, Mike, do you think they would plug in Juergens and say Amalo's spot? Do you think that's a possibility if he gets a big money offer somewhere else, say Amalo?
I think that's a strong possibility. Yeah, I think it is. And so there are going to be some guys that you're going to want to keep. And Isaac may be a guy just because of the money that you got to spread to other places of priority. And you got to figure out, and Howie's the best at this, in my opinion, right now. He's a guy that, 4 or 5 years ago, we all were throwing stones at, but right now it's bouquets because he's done such a good job with this roster. And I just believe that he will come up with a way, and hopefully to keep both. But there's a chance that you lose, say, Amalo, and absolutely Juergens can step in and play that position. You got Jeff Stoutland. And Stoutland is that dude, man.
He is.
How to make it work with these big guys in the trenches.
Is that the toughest part of this, Mike? The depth that this team had is so rare in that league. It's so hard to have this many good players, even in the backup positions. Is that probably the toughest part of that pill to swallow with not winning it Sunday?
Yeah, the fact that here, a couple of things. I'm glad you mentioned that, because the other thing that comes to mind when you're saying that is the health that this team, the health that you have the latter part of the season is so important.
Yep.
The guys that you don't have, the key, if you have your key guys, that means so much when you get to the playoffs, get to the games to get into the playoffs and in the postseason. There's so many, it's so important to have the guys that you want to have, you expect to have, that are key guys to your success. This team was very healthy. Many of us didn't understand the way they went about training camp, but I think they started training camp building for the long haul, expecting to get to the postseason. And they took care of players all along the way. I'm not used to that kind of taking care of people. I'm used to guys working their tails off. Man.
That's right.
Right. We're dinosaurs now.
Used to the grind. I'm used to getting ready by the grind. These guys, they take a more cerebral approach. They have rest days. They
Maintenance
have
days.
like pitch counts, like the baseball pitchers. So they look at things differently, and it worked for them because they were healthy. And having that, to me, is a huge part of it.
Absolutely, man. At this point, how do you do it? Because I don't think there will be a coordinator left. I think Michael Clay's the next one's going to be out, and not because somebody will come in and take him, but his special teams just didn't do anything for me, So I thought that was the Achilles heel of the team. What are the chances he's out there also?
Well, you don't want to see anybody get fired. I don't, but there's a good chance that they move from that position. I thought they got better as the season progressed, but they were still, as you said, the Achilles heel. They were the weak spot for this team, that you could not count on special teams. And when Aaron Sipas went down, that hurt the team
a lot.
You bring in Kern, and he just doesn't have it anymore. And it was the special teams in general had issues, but when the punter went down, it just made this thing so much weaker as a unit. And that there was almost a shank that Tony had to return on. It was a horrible kick. It was low, it was short, and the perfect return ball for a return man.
Yep.
Kadarius Toney grabs it, goes up down the right sideline, and it was all their jerseys on the right sideline.
Well, it was supposed to be a directional kick the opposite side, so it was just messed up altogether.
I mean, that's the thing. As bad as everything else was, if you don't have that, and then Jalen does, if you could have, would have, should have, I got it. But if Jalen doesn't fall, I mean, you still probably survive that onslaught in the second half.
Yeah, but it was tough. But I tell you this, though, I give a lot of credit to Andy Reid and that coaching staff.
Absolutely.
They put on a clinic in terms of how to use motion to affect the defense, how to use motion to get what you want on the other side of the ball and take advantage of it with the motion. They were really good. It was really, it was literally a clinic. You can take this in the off season and start to teach other coaches how to use motion to manipulate a defense.
Yeah, no question. Well, so what's on the agenda now, Mike? A lot of golf? We getting out of town? What are we doing? What's Mike Quick doing for the next couple months here?
Hey, when you guys leave me alone and allow me to stop talking about this game.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
I talked to Mike today. He's like, what do you want? I'm like, hi, nice to talk to you too.
I just want to play golf now. I want to go hang out with my grandbabies and play golf.
Hey, Mike, bad news for you. Bad news, Mike. There's combine, free agency, draft. I don't think we'll ever leave you alone. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know, D. I just need a break.
But, Mike, when you look, I'm glad you brought that point up because I've been talking about that. How surprised are you how Andy Reid has evolved as a play caller and an offensive structure? Because the motion in their offense consistently, not just in the Super Bowl, consistently is the reason why they have been as dominant as they've been over the last 5-6 years. And nobody has been able to stop it for the most part.
D is such a key element to what they do because they understand adjustments. All right, if you're playing zone, they know exactly what you're going to do. Or they'll send a motion guy just to double check. Okay, they're in zone. Send a motion guy. Okay, they're here. We're going to be here. Okay, they're in man. Send a motion guy. Yeah, they're running with you. We know you're in motion. You're in man, and this is what we do to beat your man. Boom, boom. They're really good at it. And Andy Reid just understanding how to free guys up, using the motion, moving Kelsey around in so many different spots. And it's just, it's Andy Reid. He's really good at it. And Eric Bieniemy, I wouldn't take anything away from him. He is unbelievable as a play caller.
Yes.
Those two guys, and what's crazy is, I don't know if you've noticed this, Ted Williams, who was the running backs coach for the Eagles for a lot of years.
Long time.
He was there when I was there.
Yeah.
So Ted's son, Danny, stands behind Andy Reid. You see this little black kid, young guy behind Andy Reid every game, moving whenever Andy moves. That's Ted Williams' son.
Wow.
Who played quarterback at Timber Creek High School, and now he's in the league and he's soaking it all in.
Wow.
In fact, I was texting with Andy the other day, and he said, Danny's sitting here right beside me. Danny moves when Andy moves. He's just soaking in knowledge. Already a very bright young guy, but he's just there and soaking in knowledge for the last few years.
Wow.
Reid.
We know Ted was he was the running backs coach my first couple of years. In fact, he was Deuce's coach, Ricky Waters, Charlie.
And then he
Garner.
moved to tight end.
He moved to tight end coach, and that's what he had like Dunn and all those guys. So one of the smartest guys I've ever been around. Very knowledgeable.
Hey, you mentioned Eric Bieniemy. Bieniemy's interviewing in Washington now for the offensive coordinator. Does it make you nervous if Bieniemy takes over Washington's offense?
I just know that there's another challenge. They've added to the challenges that the Eagles will have going against Washington. Because really, he's really a bright guy when it comes to the strategy for attacking a defense.
Mike, listen, thank you. Thank you,
brother,
for all your help all year, man.
Thanks,
we appreciate it. and we want you to go relax, go golf,
hit them straight, bro. Hit them
with
straight.
the grandbabies and get away from all the Gunner's craziness. I mean,
stay out of the creek. Stay out of the creeks.
Yes.
Hey man, I enjoyed you guys all season long. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, so guys, let's address a couple of these things. So Nick Sirianni on those two touchdowns, and Mike was just illustrating them, the motion and some of the other stuff that they did, the Sky Moore and the other touchdown, the Tony touchdown.
Yeah.
So Sirianni said execution error on the first motion TD. The second one, they got us. We were in a completely different coverage. So in other words, we had it schemed right the first time. The second time, shame on us. I mean, neither one's a good look, but that's according to Nick Sirianni. Then he was asked about the 4th and 2 and said, I don't regret it. 32 out of 32 coaches would not have gone for it there. He said, yeah, obviously now I look back and I see that punt and what happened. Yes, I would second guess myself in that sense, but not at the time before we saw the bad punt. But that's all. So I'm just giving you that. When asked about how do you replace the coordinators, first thing Sirianni brought up was in-house. We have good in-house options, is what he said.
Oh, I love it.
Okay.
And he said that he wants the new OC, whoever it is, to call plays, just like Steichen did. He likes being the general. He likes being able to just handle all aspects and jump around and not be focused on. I like that, actually. I'm good.
Well, considering that he already has somebody in-house in Brian Johnson, who has watched, listened, and been a part of the offensive structure for 2 years, that tells me even more so that that's the guy that will get elevated. Because even if you bring somebody from the outside in, it's got to take a while for them to learn what Nick is thinking. Brian already knows it. So if he wants the OC to call plays, that's a natural to have Brian move up and assume that role.
It sounds good for Brian. I mean, I don't know what that means for Bernard Wilson on the other side either, but I'm just saying it sounds good, for sure for Brian, like to move up. So they're just a couple things, and we'll pass along more as we get it. Hey, want to pass this along also. Tim McCarver passed away, 81 years old. Yeah. What an impact he had on baseball, but in the city of Philadelphia, he played here in 2 different stints. He was Steve Carlton's main catcher for a lot of those years, played a long time in Major League Baseball, and for more than 20 years was their lead color analyst for all their playoff and national coverage, no matter whatever the network was. But McCarver was one hell of a broadcaster on top of everything else. So Barrett, longtime Cardinal as well. But he passed away at the age of 81.
I loved listening to him on broadcast. I loved his insights, his enthusiasm, his overall knowledge of the game. We listened to a lot of different broadcasters, but he was above many that we listened to calling baseball games.
Yes. Yeah, agreed. So pass that along. All right. We will let's do this. Let's come back and let's dig a little bit deeper into some of the things that Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman had to say regarding the Super Bowl. And we'll get into a couple other odds and ends. A really nice gesture from Michael Jordan, who's on the eve of his a big birthday for him. We'll get into our birthdays, our movies, all those kind of things as we close things out. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Right back.
Philadelphia fans, were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing, the second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs, and then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
My name is Fran Salerno, and I'm managing director here at Del Valle Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
Final segment of the show. Thanks for hanging out with us. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. We talked a little bit earlier to Derek Bodner, to Mike Quick. If you missed any of those interviews, just go to jakibsports.com or a JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. You can catch them in their entirety. Yes, Derek.
Rob.
Yes, sir.
You've had a rough day, Rob, and I don't want to bring this to your attention, but I must.
Okay.
Nick Sirianni just says special teams coordinator Mike Clay will return in 2023. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I had to do this, Rob, but your effect on getting people fired has worn off. You were like the Eagles. You were dominant for so long, and in the biggest moment, you came up short in terms of getting somebody fired. So Michael Clay, and now I can tell you guys that your people. Did I not tell you earlier this in the show that Michael Clay was coming back?
Yep.
You saw what I texted you?
Yep.
You saw I didn't I know you didn't want to believe it.
No.
I didn't want to believe it either.
I'm
not happy about it.
It's not over yet. It's not over.
What do you mean it's not over?
We're not done. We're not done.
That has been solidified. If the head coaches come out and said it today on February 16th, that means it is etched in stone for 2023, Mr. Brooks.
Wow.
Well, I'm just saying I've witnessed. Well, yeah, that's wrong. That's different. I was about to say, when Doug was here, Doug said the same thing. What happened? Remember that now, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but this is Sirianni.
Yeah, I know. He has power to make coaching decisions. So it's a lot different from Doug. Doug didn't have that power.
Well, look, I'll take it as long as Sippos isn't here. I can live with that. I'm not happy about it, but as long as Sippos is out, I'll deal with it.
Ray Lester says Clay should be on probation. What if I told you there's a good possibility Sippos will be your punter in 23?
No, I won't accept. There will be problems. I'll be marching down.
Just remember on this day that I told you this.
Okay, I believe you. I don't discount what you say.
Okay, all right.
All right, so Howie on Jalen Hurts eligible to sign a contract extension for the first time in his career. Howie, quote, "We want to keep our best players for the long term, and he's certainly one of our best players. We want to keep Jalen Hurts here long term." This is everybody knows what this is. I mean, he
says that all his best players,
Yeah,
and he does it
right. No, and he does it. He does. The Eagles usually get this done, and they get it done generally very quickly. That's for sure. So,
and I will also add, Howie has done. Say what you want to say about him, inconsistencies, except for the last 2 years, in getting the right players. There's one thing he has always been consistent about. When he comes out and says that every year, about keeping our best players. There's always a big announcement about somebody getting signed. He understands the market value. They will be taken care of. Howie has already figured this out before the season is over in terms of what they're going to have to pay Jalen and how it's going to have the trickle-down effect on the rest of this team. Those numbers have already been crunched. This didn't start the day after the Super Bowl. For those out there thinking Howie's just now reanalyzing this, no. If you know anything about Howie Roseman starts this process in August for the next year.
Well, he started this back when he probably started back when he saw the Minnesota game and how Jalen Hurts threw for 333 yards. He's like, we got to keep him. He probably started right then as far as getting guys ready, getting that contract ready and negotiating with his agent and all that type of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, look, we'll see. And I'm sure, they have to do it relatively quickly to figure out everything else, you would think. And I understand, like, how he's got everything, aligned and allotted and all that. But there's no guarantee what someone's going to ask for. They may surprise you, whatever the case may be. So that's the part that's going to be, tough to gauge as much as you do your homework and look ahead to these kind of things. So no surprises really there in terms of the Jalen and the contract. I guess the surprise part, I'm surprised, until what you showed us, Gunner. I'm surprised that Clay's going to be back. I thought they'd make that change. I think you're certainly going to see a different punter, but we'll see.
Maybe Nick Sirianni's loyal to a fault. That's a question we need to look at. Maybe
we've discussed that before, though. We've discussed that before.
Well, true, but when it comes to this particular coach, I think as we see it now, since he's come out and said it, he will return. This is something we definitely have to revisit throughout next season, because you know what? He's got to realize there were a number of mistakes, a number of flaws in his overall special teams play.
Yeah, it wasn't just that punt return in the Super Bowl. There was a lot more to that.
But there was a stretch where it was pretty effective across the board. There was a stretch
where it was
except
better.
for the punt return.
5 games, man.
I'd say
games.
better,
I said
Derek.
Stretch.
Derek, better, not effective.
Okay, that's what I said. It was better, which means it was effective. They weren't.
Better's not always good enough, though.
Well, but it was better than what it was. It could have gotten worse instead of better. It didn't get worse.
I guess
it got you said it yourself now. It was better compared to where it was. It was better. I'm not saying it was effective. It was better, and it wasn't a glaring weakness over what Mr. Brooks said, 5 games.
Yeah.
And then it reared its ugly head again.
Nick on Brian Johnson. He's done
Rob
a really
just
good
ain't
job.
listening to me today. He just don't want to hear me today. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Rob.
Brian Johnson's done a really good job of helping Jalen Hurts become a better quarterback. He says Brian has been involved in the scheme, especially during the week-to-week trying to game plan against defenses. This is a home run. I mean, this is done unless Brian Johnson asks for Jalen Hurts money to be the offensive coordinator. He's going to be the offensive coordinator. That part's done. Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
We'll see what ends
up. And I don't know if
happening.
that's a bad move or not. I really don't.
Until somebody's in there doing it, it's hard to know. He's got a great support.
Exactly.
He's got a great support system with Sirianni. He's got a great offensive line coach. He's got a quarterback. He's got receivers. He's got a tight end. He's got most of the offensive line. He's stepping into a nice spot.
And the most important factor, he's got a long history with Jalen Hurts and Jalen Hurts' family.
Yep.
He's known to do since he was 4 years old.
Yes.
Okay.
And as a play caller, he called plays for, when he was at the University of Florida for Kyle Trask, who's a drop back quarterback, like I said. Then, Richardson, Jones, both of those guys were dual threat quarterbacks. He called plays for them. So he's very versed in optimizing whatever talent he has at the quarterback position. So it could be a great match made in heaven going forward.
All right. I like it. All right, Stu, I'm going to throw this at you. There are a couple notes here. One, this is awesome. Michael Jordan's donating $10 million to Make-A-Wish Foundation.
That's great, man.
That's awesome.
I mean, phenomenal, right? I mean, just incredible. And I don't care how much money Michael, because people always go, "Oh, he has all the money." $10 million, man. Think about what that can do for families. If you're not familiar with Make-A-Wish,
that's right.
Terminally ill children get to live out something that is their dream. Kid wants to go to Disney World. Kid wants to go to a Super Bowl. I don't know, whatever they're into. They want to go visit New York City or whatever. And that's what Make-A-Wish does. And it takes care of them, and it brings their family along. And that kid, for at least a couple days, gets to not think about what they're going through, man. So it's an awesome foundation.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Right, man. I mean, imagine he could have gave you like maybe half that D-Gun to go to D-Gun and go back to California, the West Coast.
I'd taken $1 million and lived a very luxurious life. I ain't greedy. I just want a little bit. That's all. I've been trying to get people to donate for at least 10 years now, and
I'm sorry, I keep telling you no, man. I'm sorry.
You ain't the only one. Everybody you worked with in NBC, D-Gun. You ain't going nowhere, D-Gun. We got to be here. You got to be here, man. Nobody will help me out, man. And y'all call me. Y'all supposed to be my friends, and nobody help me out. See, I even asked JAKIB Sports Media, can you help a brother out? They looked at me like I was crazy. Like, you ain't going nowhere, man.
Oh,
wow,
my God.
That's cold-blooded, man.
Yeah, I hear you. But anyway, nice job out of Michael Jordan. He actually, we'll do a little birthday spoiler for tomorrow. He turns 60 tomorrow. So MJ doing a great thing right before his birthday.
Yeah.
Joe Mazzulla has been named the head coach of the Boston Celtics. It's official. There's no interim tag on him anymore, and they extended him. This was another one that it felt like a no-brainer. The guy from the jump has shown that he's qualified to be able to do this.
Absolutely.
He's got them guys playing at a high level, man.
Yeah, and they defend.
His second team is better than a lot of first teams.
And you're right. The other thing is he's doing that. Like right now, they're really shorthanded, and they're in every game or they're winning games. He's really doing a nice job, man.
And they still have the best record in the NBA. Jeez.
I know. It's unbelievable. All right, let's do some birthdays now. Elizabeth Olsen, actress, is 34 years old today. She's the sister of Mary Kate and the other one, the twins that were on Full House. The Weeknd is 33 years old today.
If you're ever feeling down and you just want to pick me up, put on the Weeknd's I Can't Feel My Face.
Yes.
If that song don't get you jumping, I don't know what will.
Absolutely.
I can't stand that song.
Oh,
what?
I cannot stand that song at all. That's almost a
dude. The beat alone. The beat alone. You know what? The beat alone will make you make your knees freeze, your back crack, and your liver quiver. That song right there puts you in the right mood, man. Just to beat the bass beat alone.
I'm not a fan, man. I'm just not.
You ain't got no soul, man. You ain't got no soul.
Yeah. Well, there you go. All right. So beyond that, Ice-T is 65 today.
Yeah.
Yes.
OG,
Ice-T,
original gangster.
Right. Colors. Yeah. But he was, he's been on the Law and Order SVU now. I think the whole time it's been on. Or close to
20-some years.
40 years.
40 years. Yeah. It feels like that. But incredible run for him. Both crossover as an actor and a rapper, etc. So Ice-T, 65. I still mess up his name. Mahershala Ali is 49 today. I had trouble with the first name, but he is 49. Excellent actor, man. Phenomenal actor. Been in a lot of stuff. Everything he's in, he's good in.
He's won two Academy Awards. Whew.
Yeah. No, the guy's unbelievable.
He was in House of Cards. Good in House of Cards, man.
Yeah. He's good in everything. He really is.
Moonlight, the Green Book, all that stuff.
Yep. Sonny Bono of Sonny and Cher fame was born on this day in 1935.
Oh.
Passed away a long time ago. LeVar Burton is 66 today. LeVar Burton. Roots. A lot of
Reading Rainbow.
Yeah, that was the other one.
Star Trek. He was Commander LaForge.
You know what else he played? It's kind of cheesy, and this is old school, but he played. Do you remember the baseball player Ron LaFleur?
Yes.
Who went to jail and Billy Martin discovered him in jail, and he ended up having a major league career. In the TV movie, he played Ron LaFleur. There you go. Little known fact.
Only you, Rob.
I know.
Rob.
Sickness. John McEnroe, 64 years old, tennis great, turned analyst. William Catt.
The person I know have a worse attitude than D-Gun.
That's right.
What?
Yes.
What?
Choked him up.
Yes, we're going with that. You got it, William Crap, man. I love William Crap, man.
Greatest American hero. So
very underrated show, bro.
Very 80s. Yes,
yeah, very 80s. Yes.
Lupe Fiasco is 41 today.
Lupe.
Barrett's guy, the bus.
Yes.
Bettis is 51. Yes, Bussy, as you call him, is 51 today. James Ingram, the great singer, is 71 years today. 71 years old today.
Yep.
Oh, he was awesome. He was another 80s. He used to do the national anthem for Lakers games all the time. He grew up in Englewood, I think, right where the Forum was back in the day.
It's a shame he passed away 4 years ago. Wow.
No, did he pass? I didn't know. He passed.
Yep.
Hugh Beaumont, who played the dad on Leave It to Beaver, was born on this day.
Ward Cleaver.
And our old friend Brett Brown. Brett Brown is 62 years young today.
That's right.
Brett Brown.
That's all I got birthdays. What do you guys have?
Ooh.
I got Christopher. I don't know how you say his last name. Eccleston.
Okay.
I played a Gone in 60 Seconds. He plays that bad guy from he has that Irish accent.
Yeah, I know the
He's
guy.
the bad guy. Yeah.
Yep.
He's 59.
Okay.
And then YFN Lucci, 32, a rapper.
Who?
Okay.
Yeah, Lucci.
I heard of him.
Yeah, my kids know about him. So I hear his name.
All right, Gunner.
Then I'm spent.
You still have more?
You got more?
No, I'm spent.
Oh, okay.
No. I have one more.
All right.
One of my ex-teammates when I was playing with Green Bay, your boy, Amon Green.
That's right, baby. I'm on Green.
Okay.
Yeah, from Nebraska. He's 46 today.
Gunner, you have any?
John McEnroe, 64.
Yeah, we said that one. Yep.
You did say that one. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Ken Takakura, great Japanese actor who played in the movie Black Rain with Michael Douglas. I love that movie.
Right. That's it. It was him. Yeah.
I didn't know he passed away in 2014. Jeez.
I didn't either.
Amanda Holden is 52. Margot Hemingway. Think about that.
Yeah.
She's passed away, and she died in 1996. She was 42 years old when she passed away.
Oh, man.
One of my favorite, you're not going to believe this because I spend so much time doing weather. My kids always say, you know what, Dad, you should have been a meteorologist instead of sportscaster because I'm always giving my family weather updates. Jim Cantori from the Weather Channel. I love that dude.
Yeah, I
love that dude.
That dude's money. They put him in the worst places, man.
Yes.
Dad.
Man,
my man is standing there in a tornado and a hurricane and hanging onto a pole.
You ain't gonna see no brothers doing that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
No.
Kelly Tripucka, 64. Former NBA player Herb Williams, 64, played 18 seasons in the NBA.
Long time with the Pacers.
First round pick of the Pacers.
Yep.
Jeremy Bullock, who played in the Star Wars franchise, 75.
Yep.
Brian Bedford played Frasier and Cheers, 80 years old. Vera Ellen, who way back in the day, if you remember the movie White Christmas, the old black and white movie with Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, she passed away in 1981.
Okay.
Who's my last? Oh, John Schlesinger, who played in Pacific Heights and Midnight Cowboy, 97.
Oh, man.
And that's it. I'm all caught up.
All right. Movies. Black Panther, 2018.
Yes.
Classic. Chadwick Boseman, R.I.P. Happy Gilmore, 1996. Love that one.
Get in the ball. Get in the hole, ball. Get in the hole.
It was Shooter McGavin's birthday yesterday, so he was.
Right.
Those two. There wasn't a lot else. You guys got other ones? I was slim pickings on the movies.
You got Ghost Rider, came out in 2007.
Cider.
And Barrett's all-time favorite movie came out in 1996, Muppet Treasure Island.
Oh my God!
I'm not even respond to that, man. I'm not even going to respond to that.
Yeah, don't even.
No.
Let me give you how Nick Sirianni describes the Super Bowl and getting as close as they got. We slipped trying to put our flag on the mountain, on top of the mountain. So,
great.
That's a good analogy. That's a good analogy.
Great.
He also said that extending Jalen won't be affected by the way it went sideways with Wentz, which is the right thing. You can't let that.
No, you can't
impact this. It's two separate.
You cannot.
Two guys who were built very differently right here.
Way differently.
So which I'm glad actually that Sirianni's not going to be calling plays, and it's not any diss on him. I just like my head coach to be able to delegate and deal with other stuff. That's for sure.
I agree. And not every team has a play caller. A lot of head coaches, offensive-minded coaches, like Andy Reid, they want to call the plays, plain and simple.
Yeah,
and that's understandable, especially if you're like Sean McVay and Andy Reid, successful at doing it. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, you that's the thing. You worry also. Just I think he just had a good feel for how good Steichen was and that what he needed to do.
Yep.
And I think he's comfortable now in that role as the supervisor and and the guy who kind of runs everything.
If that's the case, I can't see them bringing in anybody. Really,
from the outside.
No, I mean, if you're comfortable, because if he'd have to go out and get reacquainted with somebody. I don't think he's going to do that. Mm-hmm. So of course he's going to hire him for the offensive coordinator job.
Yeah, it makes sense. It does. So we'll see what how everything plays itself out. It sounds like they're going to move on at least the OC pretty quickly, but we don't know at this point exactly what's going to happen here. And if they're looking at outside candidates for the defense, it's definitely going to take a little bit longer. That's for sure. All right. So we got to run, but we're back tomorrow at the same time. So tomorrow we're going to have Ray Didinger.
This was one of my fun shows ever.
Yeah. Today was. Yeah. You enjoyed just through casting the reel. And yes. I was like you guys fished very well today. You fished very well.
Yeah, the way you've been attacking me lately and getting a little sneak, the backdoor sneak shots on me.
Turnabout is fair play. Yeah.
Yes, I enjoyed this immensely today. I
know you did a little too much, but that's okay.
Right.
Yes,
you destroyed today, bro.
You did.
You were on fire today, bro.
You Darius slated. All right.
No, I didn't miss my coverage. I ain't missing any coverage today.
All right. Want to thank Xander, as always, and everybody in the chat section, everybody streaming, everybody listening. Don't go anywhere. You have 3 hours coming up of the National Football Show with Dan Cilio. We'll see you guys at the same time tomorrow. For Derek, for Barrett, I'm Rob. Thanks for hanging out with us. See you at noon Eastern tomorrow. Sports Day.